Alrighty, folks. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good to see you. All right, I think this might be one of the more balanced questions that we've asked to start off. If you're new, the question this evening is, would you rather be a giant hamster or a tiny rhino? So go ahead and answer in Twitch chat, giant hamster or tiny rhino. This one seems to be a little split. I feel like people came in strong with the rhino. Now it's kind of turning to hamster. No, this. I think this might be the most balanced question we had so far. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to have you all. For folks that are new, this is day 4 of our free web development bootcamp that was started to help folks that were affected by the pandemic that might be looking for a new career change, things like that. So far, we've covered the basics of HTML and CSS, and today we're going to go a little bit deeper with some CSS, learn a little bit of layout, and start building some sites. So if you want to follow along, go ahead and do ! slides. That'll pull up the live slides for you. If you would like the materials, all their starter code, the things that we're going to be doing for lab today, go to our Discord channel, just do ! Discord in chat, and you'll be able to get all the materials that we'll be using to follow along. That includes all the starter code, everything that you're going to need, the images, everything that you'll need will be in the Discord channel, in the follow along channel. So go ahead and grab all that stuff. Going to give folks a little bit of time to get in here. We'll start answering some questions like we normally do at the beginning. Lord asked, how many more sessions are there? So we're in the end of week 2. There are 3 more weeks with 2 sessions each week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we have 6 more classes ahead of us, plus office hours on Saturday. So this Saturday and the next few Saturdays we'll have office hours. Office hours are kind of 2 big things. One, just to answer any questions you might have. I do have folks that book time with me every Monday to talk a little bit more intimately one-on-one, but feel free to stop by office hours, ask any questions you want during office hours. And then the other wonderful thing I'll be doing during office hours, this will be a lot of fun, is we're just going to work through the solutions. So if you've been following along with the homework, you've been following along with the take-homes, and you just have questions about stuff, come on by the office hours. We're going to work through those together. The intro question is, would you like to be a giant hamster or a tiny rhino? Giant hamster or tiny rhino? Ghost Six Fire, yeah, so we took a small cohort of 60 individuals, and what they get is they have a private channel where I can answer their questions, and I also grade all their homeworks and things like that. If you weren't selected for that round of the bootcamp, don't worry, you can follow along here on Twitch, and you can ask any questions you want in the Discord, have folks look over your work on Discord, things like that. So the folks that got selected for the first round of 60 just get a little bit more attention from me, but there's no reason why you can't get all the help you need and follow along here on Twitch. And like I said, we're going to do this multiple times. So after this cohort's done, I'm going to take like a week or 2 break, and then we're going to do another cohort, and it's only going to get better, folks. Cool. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Youngin Fox asked, how do I extend the background color past the border? It's an interesting question. We're going to learn about the box model today. So when we're done learning about the box model, ask that question again and we can take a peek at it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to small cam and bring up the slides and bring up the questions slide. Let's give folks a few more minutes to get in here. Welcome back, everyone. All right. I always like to start off with questions. Any questions about stuff from last class, life in general, go ahead and ask them. Unsure Banana, all these classes so far are going to be front-end web development, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Been having a lot of fun. A lot of folks have been getting some value out of it. So we're definitely going to run a longer course that covers back-end development as well. For those that are new, my name's Leon. I help run a free nonprofit coding bootcamp called Resilient Coders during the day. We help folks go from 0 to employed as a software engineer. There were a lot of folks that were reaching out that were kind of asking for advice because of the pandemic. Either they lost their jobs or were laid off. And so I decided to put together just a kind of quick crash course on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to help folks figure out if this was for them or not. So that's what you're here for right now. But we're definitely going to run some longer form classes, things that cover backend development as well. Welcome back. Welcome back. Any questions? Have I ever given modding Minecraft or making mods for Minecraft a try? I have not. I have been setting up a Minecraft server for the Discord channel. That's been a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get into modding because of that. So look out. Hopefully this weekend, probably class on Tuesday is when I'll announce the Minecraft server. Moretta, sometimes if it's frozen, just go ahead and refresh. Unfortunately, that's kind of a lot of like the quality is on Twitch's side, and I don't really have control over that. I'm streaming out at 720, 60 frames per second. So if you want to put your resolution to 720, that might give you the best option. I just hit all the requirements for affiliate last stream. So I'm looking into setting all that up because I think it'll give me more control over the quality of the stream, which would be helpful. The only thing is that like it would have to run ads and stuff like that, and I really don't want to run ads or have like subs or anything weird like that. So I'm trying to figure out if I can do affiliate without having to set up all the other stuff, just so I get better quality stream. If things kind of freeze on you a little bit, refresh the stream. That typically works for most folks. Youngin Fox, how do I make UL items, meaning LIs, horizontal? Well, we're going to learn a property today called float. We're going to learn the basics of layout with float. I know it's a very controversial topic, but you could float all your LIs, and we'll learn how to do that today during class. And then next week, we'll get into some better ways to do layout. Alpine asked, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm doing all right. These past 2 weeks have been pretty rough. I had a lot of unfortunate stuff happen, and so it's been a little tough, but I'm hanging in there. These classes have been really fun. Kind of having all your energy in chat's been really fun, so I'm glad to be here. Yeah, so I kind of set up some new channels on the Discord. In the Discord, let me see if I can drag this over into the screen. Hey, there we go. I think that's working. So we have some new channels here, and it's just kind of, I'm trying to figure out how to make this more organized so folks can get the help that they need. You're going to notice that there's always the Learn with Leon channels. These are where you're going to come grab the materials here when we're live, things like that. But then the help channels are prominent. There's two big ones I want you to pay attention to. There's a follow along help channel. If you're following along, I would love for you to post your questions that come up in that follow along channel. If you want somebody to look at your code though, please put those in the code review help channel. So there's another new channel I just created a few minutes ago. So if you want somebody to look at your code, put it in the code review help. We have tons of really great mentors and friends that are looking through and have been helping folks. So it's just been amazing to see the folks that have been showing up to help every day. Remember, these are people volunteering their time for free, but please put your code review, like if you want somebody to look at your HTML or CSS, in the code review help channel. If you just have general questions about what you're seeing in the stream or on YouTube, put that in follow along help. And then there are some other help channels, career advice channels, general channels, and then there's this hidden channel that not everyone has access to. That's if you're in the current run of boot campers. Use that bootcamp channel to ask questions there. So those are kind of the new ones that just popped up over the past couple of days. I haven't been really too heavy handed with the moderation, meaning I've kind of been letting it go willy-nilly just because I wanted to see where people would normally congregate or the channels that they would actually use. So this weekend, I'll probably put more time into organizing the channels a little bit better, just as we kind of see what folks are using the Discord channel for. So expect some more changes this weekend, and then we'll talk about them at the beginning of next class. All right. Ghost asks, if you weren't accepted for the first 60 students, how do you apply for the next set? I'm going to announce it on Twitter. So if you're not following me on Twitter, leonnoel.com/Twitter, I'll announce the sign up there. It'll be a form, probably like the day after. I'll put it in Discord as well. And so we're just going to do another kind of run where folks kind of can sign up. I'm going to gear it towards folks that were affected by the pandemic and kind of take it from there. Cross said, are you going to go over CSS reset? Is it something we should do for all of our CSS files? Yes. Next Tuesday, I'm going to go over reset and normalize, and we will probably incorporate them into the code that we write. So today is really just kind of like trying to wrap our brains around some of the CSS we learned last class, learning a little bit about layout, and then the next two classes, we're going to go deep into layout so we can build all the websites that we want to be able to build. Cookie, the green check's there. If you go to the bottom of our bootcamp channel, it's there. All right, folks, let's get into it. I think everyone is here. If you want to follow along with the assignments, Chell, I'll put them in the follow along materials. The folks that are part of that free 60-person cohort, they have something called Schoology where they can submit all their assignments and stuff like that. Miriam's asking, what version of Minecraft will your server be on? I'm going to I've been setting up just a regular Bedrock server, but I'll post in Discord, or if people have a preference, put the preference in chat for me now, please. I've been just learning the ropes. I've never set one up before, so I'm willing to scrap it all and restart. But if there's a particular Minecraft server that you want, put it in chat so I have an idea of what folks want. Cool. All right. Let's talk about the agenda. So we just talked about some questions. I'll give folks another second to get in here and ask the questions they might need to ask. Tonight we're going to review CSS fundamentals. So we're going to go over all the basics that we covered last class. Get all your questions out. Feel comfortable about the basics of CSS. We're going to cover specificity again. We're going to look at relationship selectors again, like parent-child and sibling selectors. We're going to introduce a new topic called the box model, and we're going to cover a way of doing very simple layouts. Then the lab will be to create a very simple layout, and then the homework will be 3 layouts that'll be due next week. Okay. All right. Chell, if you go into the follow along materials, the only person that can post there is me. So the assignments will always be in there. And then that way there's no kind of like confusion where they're coming from. Ghost asks, if I'm not a part of the 60 student class, can you still help me get help with getting a job? Absolutely. I've been meeting with folks one-on-one. I talked with like 4 or 5 different folks today on Discord. We just popped in the voice channel. You can always go to leonnoel.com/book-time, and that just gets a 15-minute slot on my calendar. I typically have like 20 folks every Monday I talk to. But if you're on Discord, ping me. We'll set up a time to talk. Happy to help. Omar said, I noticed you have some vertical lines that show up during your indentations. That's something I can add onto Atom? Yes. If you go into Atom, there is a setting for indent lines. I can pull that up. When we get to a break, ask me again, Omar, and I'll show you how we do it. Cool. All right, folks, let's jump into it. Today's going to be a little bit more lab heavy. So we're going to have 3 different labs that'll be like 5 minutes, and then 1 lab that'll be 15 minutes. So I really want you to kind of get your fingers going and writing some actual code today. Class should go about the normal time, 2 to 3 hours. and we'll take it from there. Just in case folks are tuning in afterwards, like on YouTube, we meet every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on Twitch, and then also Saturday starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for office hours. So everyone that's following now, please come back on Saturday if you want to work through the homeworks and stuff like that together, or just ask questions. But the classes are only on Tuesday and Thursday. Cool. Let's jump into it, folks. Any last minute questions before we start getting into the lecture again? Just going to check chat real quick, make sure nobody has any questions. Perfect. All right, let's jump into it. All right, golden rule. Heavy-handed, hitting you over the head with it again because it's so important. Golden rule says HTML, right, should only contain our content. We shouldn't put our style inside of our HTML. Our CSS should only contain our style, our presentation, and JavaScript should only hold our behavior interaction. In chat, and you should all be able to spam this, why is this important? We talked about this 3 times now, so why is this golden rule, the separation of concerns, important? Put it in chat for me, please. Yeah, organization. Seeing some readability in there. Yeah, it's really about the organization, right? It is the ability for you to come back to your code, right? The ability for you to come back to your code and know where to go make changes, right? If you want to make something pink, you know to go to your CSS. If you want to add some more content, you know to go to your HTML. And if you want to make stuff spin around when you click on something, you know to go to your JavaScript, right? And so the concept here is that that's helpful for you. But when you're working on a team, it's also really helpful because there's no confusion as to where things are going to be placed, where things are going to be organized. Good stuff. Thanks, Ghost. I appreciate that. CSS. Where does our CSS go? Spam it in chat, please. Where does CSS go? Where does the CSS go? Boom. In a separate file. Yeah, CSS goes in a separate file. If we're adhering to that separation of concerns, we're going to put our HTML in one file. We're going to put our CSS in a different file. Now, what's the exception to when you can put CSS in line with your HTML? What's the exception when you can put CSS in line with your HTML? Yeah, it's email. Emails typically don't have an external style sheet, so a lot of folks will put the CSS in line with their HTML. But if you're not writing emails, you shouldn't be putting it in line. Now, there are some individuals that put a little bit of CSS in the head. What is that called when people put a little bit of CSS in the head to help that first page render? Anybody know what that's called again? People are already spamming Amazon. I love it. Yes, Amazon does this. They were the ones that popularized it. What is it called? Anybody remember what that's called when we put a little bit of CSS in the head? People are quickly pulling up the YouTube videos to try to see if they can figure it out. It's called critical path CSS. Critical path. Yeah. So that's a little gotcha trivia question. I think I got chat on that one. I think it's the first time I've gotten chat stumped. So well done for this being the first time. Cool. But for the most part, especially when we're doing our stuff, we're going to do it in a separate file. All right. So today we're going to, we already saw last class how to link that separate file, right? If we go into the head of our CSS file, we have that link tag, and that link tag tells the HTML where to go find the CSS, right? So in this case, if we're looking at this link tag that would go in the head of our HTML to connect those two separate files, what we're saying is from the HTML file, go into a CSS folder, and then find this file, the style.css, inside that CSS folder. So This link tag would go in the head of our HTML. It would connect our HTML file to our CSS file. Now, I think early on for a lot of folks, especially if this is your first time really diving into web development, folder organization and structure is really hard, and getting things to link up is pretty difficult. For the examples I've given you today, I've already linked stuff for you, but you should definitely try starting a site from scratch, building out the folders, building out the HTML, building out the CSS. And in fact, during office hours on Saturday, we're going to do all that. We're going to do it from scratch again. We've done it once or twice. You can go back and watch the old videos, but if you want to come by office hours on Saturday, we're going to do it again from scratch. And you should definitely do it on your own from scratch just to get that muscle memory going and to make sure that you can do all the linking correctly. Cool. Failure. Ghost, you're not a failure. All right, let's keep pushing. Remember, in CSS, we write rules, right? When we were talking about HTML, we had opening and closing tags that made up the syntax, like the spelling or grammar rules of the language. CSS, being another markup language, has its own rules, right? And the rules are actually called rules. So this whole thing would be a rule. The rule is broken down into two parts. The first part is a selector. The second part is the declaration block. And then the declaration block is broken down into declarations. There's two of them here. And then each declaration is broken down into a property and a value. Now, a couple things that we always have to keep in mind, right? You always have to keep these things in mind, that our our rules, that jumped to the end of the slides. Come back. There we go. Thing we have to keep in mind, the syntax of CSS is that you have your selector, and then your declaration block opens with the curly braces and closes with the curly brace. A couple folks that asked for my help that wanted to look at the code, wanted to look at their code, and they're saying, "Hey Leon, my CSS isn't all rendering. Some of it's working, some of it's not." One of the most common things was that they forgot a closing curly brace. So don't forget to close your curly braces. Cool. Some other syntax highlights here. You separate your properties and your values with the colon, right? And you always end with the semicolon. A lot of times, if for some reason some of your styles are rendering but not all of them, take a good look. Make sure everything had a semicolon between the property and value, and make sure that you had a semicolon at the end of each declaration. Cool. All right, let's play What Is This? I want to see the answers in the chat. What did I just circle? What's that? Spam chat for me. What's that? Bugga came in with the cool kids answer. It's like deck block, not declaration block, deck block. I like that. Declaration block. Yep. Cool. Well done, everyone. Declaration block. What is this? What did I just go ahead and circle? Bug is like, I gotta be quick. He shortened it to be quick to get that first one. Oh yeah, look at you. It's value, right? I just circled a value. Well done, everybody. Well done. How about this? What's that? Well, let me be a little bit more precise here. What's that? Answer in the chat for me, please. What is that? Cool. It's a selector. Well done, everybody. It's a selector. Now, if you're sitting here watching this and you feel like you're too cool for school, put the answers in chat. All right. Test your knowledge. Push yourself. All right. How about, I got to be careful. I got to change that. My hotkeys for drawing are the home and end keys. And so we're going to keep jumping by accident. I'll fix that. How about this? What did I just select? How about that? What did I just circle? Ooh, yeah, it's a declaration, right? It's a declaration. So declarations go in a declaration block. We have a declaration. All right, last one. How about that? What's that? What did I just circle? Nice, a property. Yep, it's a property. So some folks, somebody just asked in chat, sorry, it was going really fast. I didn't see who asked it. Somebody asked, hey, a lot of this stuff that I wrote 15 years ago in HTML seems like it's handled by CSS now. And that's true. If you are joining us today and you maybe wrote some HTML and CSS for your Neopets page or your MySpace page back in the day, there was a lot of content that was really style. And so the tags that were styling, like the blink tag, the marquee tag, even like B and I tags, they all got deprecated to some degree, meaning that you really shouldn't use them anymore. B and I tags got like a new semantic meaning, but a lot of the tags that you were used to from your MySpace page, they're gone. You can't use them anymore. We have a clear separation between content and style now. And so, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of those tags are gone. Okay, I said it's free real estate. That's one of my favorite memes. I wish there has to be like a meme plugin for chat where you can like pull up GIFs. Cool. All right, let's keep pushing, folks. Remember, CSS is read from top to bottom, right? So anything that was written above can come down below, and this is due to the cascade, all right? This is due to the cascade, meaning that styles that you wrote above at the top of your CSS file, as you move down your CSS file, you can override the rules that you wrote above. Now, you can only override the rules that came above if what is true. Now, this is a hard question. I want to see if somebody can get it in chat. The rules that come below can only override the rules above if this thing is true. De Jesus is in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Congrats on your big sponsorship by Stripe. Oh, look at you all. Yeah. It's specificity, right? Stuff that comes further down the cascade can only be overwritten by stuff that came before if it has the same or greater specificity. If last class specificity didn't make too much sense, don't worry. We're going to go over it again today to make sure it's really in there nice and solid. Cool. I can't tell you how many times I spelled specificity wrong. Like I just spell it wrong every time. I always forget an I somewhere. So I'm really proud of chat. You all spelled it correctly. Looks great. Cool. We've been going for about 30 minutes. If you're just tuning in now and you want the slides to follow along, it's ! Slides in chat. You'll get the link to the slides. And if you want the materials to follow along, it's ! Discord. And you go to the follow along materials and get all the materials you'll need for today. Kay said it was autocorrect. Yeah, I need autocorrect. All right. One last time. In chat, everyone, I wish like I could hear a cacophony of sound coming from you all. Why might we want to link to a separate file in CSS? Go ahead and put your answers in chat. Everybody's hitting it out the park. SOC, nice. I like all the shorthand. Folks are really gunning for like the first person to reply. I respect it. Yeah. Because it helps you adhere to separation of concerns. It helps you with your organization, right? So we want to keep our HTML and our CSS separate. So the way we do that is we put our CSS in a separate file, and then we link to it from our HTML. Maynard said to preserve friendships. Yes, it will help you preserve friendships with the rest of your development team if you adhere to these rules. Cool. Let's go ahead and keep moving forward. All right. So I want to review some simple styles that we talked about last class. And then I have a lab for you all to work through that we'll work on for about 5 minutes and then go over it together. So just quick review. Remember, there are four main ways of handling color. Like if I have something that I want to style, in this case, let's say I want to style my H1 red, I could use the color word of red. But why might I not want to use these color keywords like red or blue or green? Why might I not want to use those color keywords? Great for when you're prototyping or getting stuff done fast. But in chat, why might you not want to use the color keywords? Yeah, it's limited. It's limited choices, right? Cross-site is limited choices. A lot of folks are saying it's not specific, right? Like when I say red, what color red, right? Do I mean a crimson red? Do I mean more of a burgundy, right? So it doesn't give you control over like what shade of red. It just gives you red. Hexadecimal values can also be used for color. If you're coming from MySpace days, you might have used some hexadecimal back in the past, and you can still use it today. The one I use most frequently is RGBA, and I like to use RGBA because I can think about the colors in a really natural way. Hexadecimal, you can think about them in a natural way, but I find RGBA just be a little bit more, like I can remember more of the colors I want to use, and I love that alpha channel. What does the alpha channel do on both RGB and HSL-A? What does that alpha channel do? Yeah, it's the transparency, or how the opacity. Like if you're at 1, it's totally opaque, meaning you can't like see through it. And the closer you get to 0, the more transparent it becomes. So I really like having that RGBA value because it does give me that transparency, and I can use it when I need it to. I'm sure there was like always a better way of doing this, but like back in the day when I wanted to do transparency, I would create like a 1x1 transparent pixel in Photoshop and then like repeat that across the page. It was a complete hack, but I'm really glad I don't have to do that anymore. Cool. Let's finish up this review. 2 more. Font family. Remember, if you want to use a different font, you have to load that font. Web browsers don't have all the fonts that you might want to use. So there are a couple ways to go about it. You can download fonts, you can import fonts, but the quick and easy way of using fonts is if the font is on Google Fonts, you can go get the link from Google Fonts, put that in your head, and then whenever you want to change the font, you can go ahead and use Font Family and put your font there. My favorite font is Source Sans Pro, so that's why I see Source Sans Pro in the font family there. But what is Helvetica and Sans Serif doing here? Right? What is Helvetica and Sans Serif doing here? I want to use Source Sans Pro. Why is Helvetica and Sans Serif there? Yeah, it's a fallback or a backup. Well done, chat. Right? It's a fallback. It's a backup. If for whatever reason Source Sans Pro doesn't load, it's going to try and load Helvetica. It's going to try and load the Sans Serif. So that's what we have as our fallback. Cool. Font weight. Remember, if you want a specific font weight when you're using a Google font, you have to select that weight. It won't know how to make it as bold or as thin as you need it. You need that font file. The cool thing with Google Fonts, you just click, I want the thin 300, I want the normal 400, I want the bold 700, and then it includes all of that in the link. So you can see here, I have the weight of 300, 400, and 700 as part of my link. So I can use those font weights inside of my CSS. Cool. Wafer99 said, hey, why is there no comma after Helvetica in the current slide? It's because I messed up. I forgot to put a comma. So let's go ahead and, live. There we go. Put a comma. I'll go ahead and add the comma after we're done class. Thank you for pointing that out. Like I said, folks, this is the first run. There's going to be mistakes. I'll edit them out on YouTube, though. Yeah, I think like I don't know if I want to encourage that, but when we figure out the point system, I think if you catch a mistake, you'll get like a lot of points. So I'll remember for when the point system's set up, you get a bunch of points. Cool. All right, let's keep pushing, folks. All right. Remember some things here. Use the MDN. If you're ever trying to figure out how to do something, you don't know how to do the CSS properly, right? You don't know what the property is going to be. Just type what you want to have happen, CSS, MDN, and you'll pull it up. It'll be like, all right, how do I italicize CSS MDN? And it'll come right up. So please use the MDN if you don't know how to use, if you don't know the property to use, things like that. And then, so my Texas Toast said, what if you don't know how to ask? Just Google it. Try it, right? Try it. Try and like verbalize what you want to have happen. And I guarantee you somebody else has verbalized that in the past. Stack Overflow is an amazing website where people ask for help. And anything that's like in your head, I guarantee you somebody's probably asked something similar, especially when it comes to HTML and CSS. Even more, like a little bit more so when you get to JavaScript too. So just try it. Verbalize what you want to have happen. Throw the MDN in the search bar and throw in CSS and see what pops up. Yeah. Part of being a software engineer is solving problems, and a lot of those problems can be solved by good Google foo. So start developing your Google foo now. One other thing that kind of keeps coming up that I think is really important. There's a whole website built around this too, and that's don't ask to ask. So I've been noticing some people in the Discord channel will say, hey, does anybody have a few moments for me to ask a question? Don't ever do that. Just ask your question, right? That way folks can respond when they have time or when they see it. A lot of folks aren't going to like set up a call with you or anything like that. Just ask your question so that folks can asynchronously answer. So keep in mind, don't ask to ask. Just ask your question. Folks will eventually be able to get to you and help you out there. Cool. There's actually a whole website called Don't Ask to Ask. I'll pull it. I'll put it in Slack and Discord afterwards. But yeah, so keep that in mind. Use the MDN and don't ask to ask. Just ask your question, and the helpful folks that are in the Discord will be there to help. We have lots of mentors that have been helping out every day. Big shout out to all the mentors. I really appreciate you being there every day to help answer all those questions. Cool. All right, let's code some basic CSS. In today's class materials. So if you don't have the materials, somebody will put bang Discord in chat. That'll take you to our Discord channel. Once you agree to the rules and you click that check mark to agree to the rules, it'll unlock all of the channels. You can go into the follow along materials channel and get the zip file. So I want everyone, if you haven't had a chance to go get the zip file, unzip it. You must unzip it if you want access to all the stuff that's in there. Unzip it, all right? And then what we're going to work through is the basic CSS2. So there's a basic CSS2 folder. And so we want to open that basic CSS2 folder in Atom. I just like to drag my folders to my Atom, and it opens up the folder for me. But you can always do folder open or file open on Atom and get it to open that way too. Different breed, I'm doing well. Welcome by. Like I think I just mentioned a few seconds ago, if you want the slides, !slides. If you want the materials to follow along, join the Discord and grab them in the follow along materials channel. All right, so here we have some HTML, and the HTML has some comments. Okay. All right. All right. That has some comments. The style sheet is empty. So what I would like for you to do is to look at the HTML and then do what the comments ask you to do. So here's the first comment. Please make the LIs blue, underlined, 15 pixels, and have a gray background. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things it's going to ask you to do. So what I'd like for you to do is to take the next 5 minutes to do those 5 things. So I'm going to put a 5-minute timer on the screen. No, not quick time. Timer. 1 second. Four minutes. 5 minutes have already started. Go for it. There we go. So if you go to the follow along materials, there is a zip file that is attached. So go to the Discord channel, go to the follow along materials, and there will be a zip folder in that channel. So here, I'll pull it up on Discord. Look at me go. I'm going to go to the follow along materials, and here's the class 4 materials zip. Go ahead and download that, unzip it, and all the folders will be in there. Oh, 4 minutes. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I haven't figured out the music yet. I will have more time this weekend to figure all that out. And so we'll definitely have some jams to listen to next class while we have lab time. Right now, we're working through the basic CSS 2 folder. So open up that entire basic CSS 2 folder. And you're going to want to start following the comments and writing your CSS. If you're new and you weren't here last class, that's okay. We're going to go over this in a few seconds and in 3 minutes almost, right? So if this is your first time here, try it, but we're going to review it in 3 minutes. That way, if you're new, don't worry, we'll get to it. Stella said we need the Jeopardy theme while we work on this. Yeah, some folks have sent me some really great free royalty-free music that the VODs won't be taken down when we use. So I'm really excited to have that playing in the background. I'll get it all working this weekend. Yeah. So go ahead, continue to work through this code. If you have questions, you can ask your questions in chat. I'll keep responding to questions. Cookie, you should be able to see the slides. Also, if you're in the current bootcamp, it's also in our current bootcamp channel as well. I'm going to check the permissions real quick, just to make sure everyone can see them. Yeah. Cookie, you should have permission as long as you agree to the rules in the Discord channel, which I know you have. You should be able to see it in the follow along materials. Yeah, you have to follow the instructions. You have to click, right? You have to click that rules, and once you agree to the rules, then you get full access to the server. So if you haven't agreed to the rules, you won't see everything. Trying to build a good community, so we have some pretty hefty rules, but I think it'll help everyone if we follow those. Yeah, so you just want to go ahead and drag that entire folder, the basic CSS 2. If you missed last class, definitely catch up on YouTube. You can do !YouTube in the chat, and that'll bring you to my YouTube channel where all the past classes are there. So you can catch up with that. And on office hours on Saturday, I'm happy to review pretty much everything. So if you're having trouble with like folders, opening, things like that, come stop by the office hours on Saturday and definitely can help you get more comfortable with everything. Okay. Ebony said, what a rush. Ghost, make sure you unzip the entire thing. And then you're going to open up an atom, and you're going to go to the HTML file. The HTML file is what I have up on screen here. Ebony came in underneath the finish line. Well done. If you finished in time, go ahead and say finished in chat. I'm curious. Curious and curiouser, said the cat. The office hours are on Saturday starting at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Whew, look at all those people coming in finished. Blah, blah, law said, did it in spirit, impossible with the kids loose. Kudos to you for being here. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do this together. Just for folks that are following along. We got a lot of people that finished in time. Well done, well done, well done. All right. Please make the LIs blue, underline, and 15 pixels and have a gray background. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this comment and bring it over to my CSS. And I'm going to paste it here in my CSS and comment it out here just so I have it. All right. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger just so folks can see a little bit better. All right. LIs. Remember, I'm selecting my LI. So LI, then my curly braces open and close. And then let's go ahead and make it color blue. Remember, semicolon at the end of each line. Text decoration. I'm letting the text editor help me here. Underline. Whoop. There we go. We're going to do font size 15 pixels. Cool. And have a gray background. So just background gray. All right. There you go. I got it saved. I am using a plugin called Open in Browser. There's actually, I recorded myself installing this. So there's actually an install video on Discord. If one of the mods or anybody else knows where that video is, if you could repost it in the follow along channel, that could be helpful. But for now, you can just open the HTML file via Chrome. So I'm just going to go ahead, right click, Open in Browser. I have the Open in Browser plugin installed. And there we go. My LIs are blue. They have a gray background. All right, this style worked. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So that style worked. Let's look at the next one. Please make this section have a height of 300 pixels. All right. A light purple background and a gold border that is 5 pixels thick. Let's go ahead and grab that. I'm going to go over to my CSS. I'm going to paste it. What's the keyboard shortcut? What's the keyboard shortcut? Okay, if I highlight this text, what's the keyboard shortcut to comment it all out? Anybody remember what that was? It's a universal comment. Yeah, Command / if you're on Macs, Control / if you're on PC, GNU Linux. Yep. Well done, well done. Well done, yeah. There we go. Somebody asked, what's better, Flex or Grid? Oh, that's one of those you're gonna lose some friends fights. They each have their kind of their own use, and so we're gonna get comfortable with Float, Flex, and Grid, and then you can make the decision yourself. Cool. All right, please make this section have a height of 300 pixels, a light purple background. Let's do this. Section. I'm going to give it a height, 300 pixels. We're going to give it a light purple background. So background. What did y'all do? How did you get light purple? What did you do for light purple? Put it in chat. What did you do for light purple? Somebody had the hexadecimal. I'm going to do the hex. Let me see if I can like... see if I can grab it from chat. It won't let me like copy it. Hold on. I'm new to like trying to grab stuff from chat. I googled light purple hex. Nice. Somebody could totally just be trolling me here, but I'm going to try putting that hexadecimal value, and I hope that it is light purple. Cool. A gold border. Who put that in chat? Sylphie. Thank you. I appreciate that. Go away, timer. I don't need you. I have the timer going off again. Sorry. All right. We have the background. Let's grab a gold border that is 5 pixels thick. So we're going to do border. We're going to do 5px, solid, gold. All right, let's save all this. Ghost, if you're having trouble getting all of this started, go ahead and post in the Discord channel, and I'm sure somebody can help you get all set up. All right, let's go back to the index.html. Let's right-click, open in browser. All right, look at us go. That light purple background. It wasn't a troll post. Thank you, Sophie. Sophie? I hope I'm saying that right. Sophie. And we have the gold border going around it. Remember, When we're working through this stuff, if you're not able to kind of follow along, that's totally okay. I'm going to share all the solution code after class in the follow along materials. So if you're in, I just want to pay attention and really grasp this mode, that's totally cool. Don't feel like you have to frantically follow along, especially if you're new to this. This is hard, it's difficult, especially if this is your first run through it, especially if you maybe missed last class. So maybe kind of be in like absorption mode, and then you can catch up after class. All right. Please make this H1 30 pixels, gold, centered, and use Source Sans Pro. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's grab that. H1. Let me put the comment above so we just have that text. And then I'll move it up so that my head's not in the way here. Whoop. There we go. My bad. Let me go ahead and move this up so I'm not in the way. I think this weekend I'm going to experiment like moving myself to the other side so that I don't run into my code as much. All right. Let's do the easy stuff first. Font size of 30 pixels we can do all day, no problem. Centered. How do people get it centered? What did you do to get it centered? Text align. Cool. Yeah, it was an easy way of doing it today. Text align. Somebody asked, what timer am I using? I'm using something called Smart Timer. It was just on the App Store on Mac OS. I don't personally recommend it or anything like that. I just started using it today. There is a Pomodoro timer that seemed pretty cool called Forest that like you grow trees if you stick to your Pomodoro. I think that might be a little bit more practical. Cool. Text line center, and then use Source Sans Pro. So if I want to use Source Sans Pro, what do I got to do? If I want to use Source Sans Pro, what do I got to do? Chat, what do I got to do if I want to use Source Sans Pro? Oh yeah, tomato timer. That's a good one. Gfly2 said tomato timer. I know a lot of folks use tomato timer. Yeah, we need to go get the font. We're going to use Google Fonts to do that. So let's go to Google Fonts. Google Fonts. Just going to give it a DuckDuckGo. And Source Sans Pro is pretty close. Here we go. It's my favorite font. I'm just going to make it easy. I'm just going to do 400 right now. Grab it. That's the link. That link has to go in the head. Excuse me. And why does the link go above our CSS file? Why doesn't it come after the link to our CSS file? Yeah, you need it to load. So if you're going to say use Source Sans Pro, it needed to already been loaded for you to use it. Brev asked, is 400 kind of like the go-to weight? Yeah, it kind of is. Yep, Alyssa said it's because CSS is trying to read that font, so we need that font, right? Cool. And then the other cool thing I like about Google, they give you the font family right there, so you can just go ahead and copy and paste that as well. I always find that pretty nifty. That way I don't mess up the spelling or anything like that. Cool. So there we go. We got a lovely font size of 30 pixels. It's centered. It has Source Sans Pro. Oh, I got to make it gold. Color gold. Nice. Let's go ahead and open this or go back to our browser. Let me go ahead and refresh. Remember, if you want to see the changes, you have to refresh. And there you go. Boom. Gold and centered. Hello, Twitch. All right, I think there's two more here in that HTML file. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last two. Here we go. Let's grab this. I'm going to bring it over to my CSS with me. going to go ahead and paste it. And then I'm going to comment it out. Remember that command / is how we do our comments. We can do that same comments across HTML, CSS, JavaScript, command / or control / if you're on Windows or GNU Linux. Cool. So make this footer have a dark brown background, 300 pixels in height, and only 70% in width. All right. Alyssa said, you know, Leon, you have a knack for making us make ugly websites. I do. I'm not a designer. I definitely follow Picasso's logic and good artists, what is it? Good artists copy, great artists steal. I steal all my designs. Cool. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to do footer. Let's go ahead and what did you do for a background of dark brown? What did y'all do for dark brown? What did y'all do? I'll leave that as a placeholder for now. I'll move on to height. Put in chat what you use for dark brown. No bamboozle. No, don't troll me. 300 height, and let's do a width, and we'll do a width 70%. We'll do 70%. Cool. What'd you do for dark brown? Oh, I see a couple good. I love that people are going all over the place. People are going RGB. Some people are going hexadecimal. Nobody did HSLA though. I definitely noticed that. No HSLA. Let's try the RGB one. I think that looks cool. RGB. What do we do here? 101. And then they did 67. And then they did 33. And I think the first person actually did it with an A value. And we'll just do 1, right? RGB A1. That way it's fully opaque. Let's save it. Looks good. Let's go ahead and open this back in the browser. Let's refresh. All right, that's like a nice... It's a nice dark brown. I don't know if that's dark brown. I might get into trouble here, though. All right, let's move on. So gorgeous, says blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Cool. It's a masterpiece. I think we had one more, right? Let's go back, check. We have one more. Make this text have a line through it. The H2. So I won't copy that over. That's just one thing. Let's do the H2. And what was the way I got the line through it? How do I get a strike through it? I can't see that person's name. That's really cool. Somebody has a name that's like a dark black, and I just can't see it. My screen contrast is really bad. But they did give me an HSL value. Awesome. Yeah, it's a line through. So let's just go ahead and do text decoration. And I love that it tries to help me, right? So if you just remember text decoration and you didn't know if it was strike through or line through, look, it's helping us. We can use it. Cool. Let's save it up. Let's go back to the browser. Let's refresh, and boom, there's a line through. Mixer's gone. Put a line through it. RIP. Cool. All right. Any questions about this before we move on? Like I said, I'll put all of this solution code in the follow along channel when we're done class. But let's see. Let's see if there's any questions real quick. Your camouflage has been broken, Kappa. Yeah. Cool, cool. All right. No questions. Let's move on. And what time is it? We've been going for about an hour. Yeah, it's an hour exactly. I'm going to jump back to the slides here. I'm going to close this tab. And we're going to move into reviewing relationships. But before we review relationships, let's take a break. It is 7:30 Eastern time. Let's take a 3-minute break and come back. So I want you to stand up. I want you to get some water. I want you to move around a little bit. We're here. You want to be learning. You need to give yourself a little bit of a break, a little bit of a rest here. Get up, move your feet, grab some water, tend to the kids, and be back here in 3 minutes. I'll set up a timer. say 3 minutes. Cool. Be back in 3 minutes, and we'll continue on reviewing relationships. So go ahead, do all that. I'll be here answering questions while people take the break. Alyssa said, is using percent better for dimensions so it can fit to different resolutions? Yes. If you want a fluid site, using WIS as percentages can be a big help. But note, we're going to get to things like flex and grid, which will also give you other options as well. Is there a way for, I was commented out for some reason, to show us what values it expects for the shorthand options? They're just all the basic properties and values that are listed on the MDN. So you can go on the MDN and look at them, and then as soon as you start typing them into Atom, it'll recommend them. Redbird asks, could you please show the website you just made again if you still have it? Yeah. Do you want to see like my ugly output, or do you want to see the code? I am sipping a Mexican apple soda. I forget the brand of it. My wife got it for me. It's delicious. It tastes like apple, like hard apple cider, but it's not alcoholic. Yep, Kakoff's got it. Yep. Maria, boom, right in. She got it. Yeah, cider's one of my favorites. Oh, where'd the timer go? My bad. When I switched through it brought down the timer. So, folks, like I said, we got a minute left. Go grab some water. Just stand up for me. Just stand up, reach for the sky, come back down. Just get your legs moving. I guarantee you it helps the learning process. Chow says, I need to know what your hair routine is, Leon. It's always on point. I have a pretty complicated hair routine. We can have a whole class on that. But right now I've been using OGX's like the blue argan oil shampoo and conditioner. It's been doing really good stuff for me. I do like castor oil, Shay's castor oil. I like to use that every once in a while. My wife hates the smell, so I can't always use it. She's getting ready to go on vacation, so I'm going to be using that every day just to get some moisture back in. Cross said, new Discord channel for curly hair. I'm game. Let's do it. The timer was for the break, which is over. Welcome back, everyone. Come back. If you can hear me, come back. Would love to have you come back. Finish grabbing your water. Finish your stretch. Let's get back to it. What I would like to do is I want to go over the sibling selectors, have you try some sibling selector code on your own, and then we'll move on and we'll learn some new stuff for the rest of tonight. All right. Welcome back. There's a lot of love for castor oil in chat. Hey, Cookie. All right. There are a lot of hair aficionados. Yeah, let's do a hair stream one day. I would love to do it. Cool. All right. So last class, we talked a little bit about how we could select elements, like specific elements, without using classes or IDs. So if you're new to this, there are multiple ways that we can grab only select elements. Like maybe we don't want all the paragraphs. Maybe we want just a specific paragraph. And so the first way we can do that are with relationships. Here on screen right now is the parent-child relationship, but this one specifically is the direct child, meaning that it can't have any other containing elements in the way. If I wrap that paragraph in an article, this selector won't work, right? The way you think of a direct parent-child is that you are the direct child of your mother and father. You may be a child of your grandparents, but you're not a direct child. So direct child is always denoted via what? How can I always tell that I'm talking about a direct child? In chat, throw in what. Chat's just all about hair right now. If I'm talking about a direct parent-child relationship, how do I know I'm dealing with direct parent-child? Yeah, that right caret. That right caret is what lets us know we're dealing with a direct parent-child. Now, I did give homework that said to read Shay Howe 3, 4, and 5. If you did that reading, you would have come across some of these as well. So if you're kind of getting tripped up on some of the more difficult basic things, I really love Shay Howe's. It's a completely free resource. It's completely online. Definitely give that a read to kind of refresh some of these concepts. But yes, chat got it right. You have parent-child, direct parent-child with the right caret. All right. Now, what if we want any child of any parent? It's simply a space. I was going to ask somebody to put space in chat. I don't know if you can just do an empty space in chat. Can somebody try doing an empty space? I don't think you can do it. So here we have a parent-child relationship, and it doesn't matter how deep that child is. We can see that this paragraph, right, is inside of an article that's inside of that section. So when I do section space P, right? When I do, people are trying to do the empty space. That's great. When I do section space P, what I am saying is give me any child of the section. Give me any paragraph. Doesn't matter how deep it is inside that section. Give me the paragraph that's deep inside that section, right? And so it would grab any of them. That's a parent-child relationship. Then there's one other kind of important relationship here, and those are siblings. And here we're talking specifically about a direct sibling. So here, if I wanted hello YouTube if you're watching this later on, if I wanted just hello YouTube, I could do P plus P. What that's going to do is it's going to select a paragraph that immediately comes after a paragraph that are on the same level. They're not inside us. They're not separated by a containing element. They're on the same level. These are your siblings, right? These two paragraphs are the children of the section. They're on the same level, and we can select the siblings with the plus selector. And somebody asked last class, that was a really great question. You can chain these as long as you want. You could do P plus P plus P plus P plus P plus P and go as deep as you want down the chain. How do you have to specify that they are siblings of a certain parent? No, this P plus P would work for any paragraphs that are siblings. So they could be you could have two paragraphs inside of an article, and this would still work. You could have two paragraphs inside of a div, and it would still work. So all this would work. Izzy asks, why would you use this instead of a class or ID? One, it's specificity. Two, you might start to realize that you don't want to put classes and IDs on everything. You might want to put classes and IDs on containing elements and then use the nested selectors inside of that containing element. So I might put like an ID or class on my section and then say, all right, that class or ID P plus P. So give me the second paragraph inside of that element. It just saves you from having to do too much in regards to classes and IDs. And there are some folks that don't even really like to use IDs at all. So they use classes minimally and combine those classes with these relationship selectors as well. So, yeah. Alrighty. So, yes, in this example, it would only color hello YouTube. That's the only thing that would be red here. Cool, let's keep pushing. I have another set of starter code that I would love for us to work on. Let me go ahead and grab that. I'm going to close this one here for now, just to save my CPU. And inside the materials, and like I said, if you're just following along, you're just getting here now and you want to follow along, do !! Discord in the chat. You can join our Discord channel. Make sure you agree to the rules. Once you agree to the rules, all the channels will open, and there is a follow along channel that has all the materials. What we're going to do is we're going to open up this relationship CSS2 folder. I'm going to open that in Atom. And if we look, there's a bunch of stuff going on here in the HTML. All right. And then inside the CSS, there are 4 asks. It wants you to make the world and zebra blue, make zebra purple, make only Hufflepuff gold, keep Hufflepuff gold, but only make unicorn gray. So I want you to make all of these things happen, but do not use classes or IDs. Only use nested selectors, these relationship selectors. Okay. We're going to put a 5-minute timer on the clock. Going to go ahead and open up that timer. Cool. So go ahead and start working on this. 5 minutes on the clock. If you finish, type finish in chat so we can see that you finished it before the timer ran out. So there's 4 asks here. This is the relationship CSS2 folder. Go ahead and open that entire folder. Drag it to Atom to open it in Atom. You're going to start filling out your CSS. The HTML is already linked to the CSS. You don't have to worry about that. Just go ahead and start writing out your CSS. I'll give folks 4 minutes to do that. We got 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Go, go, go. I'll answer questions in chat while folks are working. So while you're working, if you have questions, put them in chat. I'll pay attention to them there. Cool. If you have more than 2 paragraphs, how would CSS know which paragraphs you're referring to if you just did P plus P? Well, it's going to style every second paragraph. So let's imagine you had 3 paragraphs, one after another. P plus P would style both the second and third paragraph because they're both sibling paragraphs that have a paragraph that comes before them. And that's a little weird to think through, but yeah, you can have as many as you want, and that's how it would work. Can you use any of these in combination? Yes, you can. You could do section right caret P plus P. That's how you're going to get more specific and target only specific paragraphs in that sake. Yeah. Work hard. Like I said, people sent me a lot of this royalty-free music. I definitely promise we'll have some music going next class during the labs. Hufflepuff, we're out here. Shout out Hufflepuff. So you're going to want to make world and zebra blue first, and then make zebra purple. Yeah. Just the Weeb Discord. Yeah, we're making very basic websites today. We're reviewing some things that we did last class with just a little bit of CSS that we learned. And then today we're going to be learning a little bit more about layout and building out some basic websites. K-Cops came in first with the done. Well done. Well done. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just the Weeb, if you want to follow along, all the materials are in our Discord. So you can just do bang Discord in chat, ! Discord in chat. And then we have a follow along materials channel where you can go ahead and grab those materials. If you're new and you want to play a little bit of catch up, all of the past 3 classes are on YouTube for you to catch up on. But feel free to kick back, relax, follow along with us tonight too. Xena Theory finish, well done. Wells E Krill finish, well done. K Doge done, well done, well done. Man, I gotta shorten this time. You don't need 5 minutes, huh? And it's done in 3. Alyssa with the struggle bus. Yeah. Somebody has to have a struggle bus emote on Twitch. If not, we need to make one. How do you make the first of a sibling pair a color? There is actually another sibling selector that we haven't talked about. That is the curly. It's like a tilde selector that also selects siblings. That's how you could do it. Or you could style all the paragraphs and then just change the second one. So you could style all the paragraphs to be, say, blue, and then do P plus P and make that red further down in the cascade. Since it comes further down the cascade, it will just override that second paragraph. So the original will stay blue and the second would be red. No worries, just feel free to come back. Feel free to catch up on YouTube if you wanted to follow along. Happy to have you. Ebony, you're stuck. What are you stuck on? Oh, we got 20 seconds. Don't worry, we're going to go over this together. Cool. 15 seconds, folks. Feel the pressure. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down, folks. Pencils down. Pencils down. Come on back. Pencils down. Pencils down. I think my head just exploded. Oh, trust me, we've all been there. Every single person that's ever started to learn how to code has been in that same exact spot where you feel like you're just burning brain cells, but we'll work through it together. Pencils down, yeah. That was a little uncalled for. All right. Alpine said you need to review a little bit more. Yeah, that's totally fair. We're going a little bit fast. There's a lot of things that has to cover. Feel free to ping me on Discord. Happy to talk through stuff. I'd like to jump in the voice channels and talk people through things. But office hours would be a good place to get caught up for folks that are feeling a little bit more behind. We're definitely going to go over everything in detail then. Cool. All right, let's do this. This was a challenge. All right, let's take a peek at this. Make only world and zebra blue. Let's take a look at our HTML. Well, world and zebra are H2s, but what makes them unique? What makes world and zebra unique? Excuse me. How are the H2s of world and zebra different than, say, like the H2s of unicorn and Hufflepuff, or the H2 of duck? Yeah, they're nested inside of a section. So world and zebra are different because they're inside this lovely section here. Whereas the other ones, right, like these two H2s are inside of an article and this is inside of an article. So we can just do section space H2 and we'll target world and zebra. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do section space H2. And then we'll do color blue. All right, let's save it. Let's open this in the browser. Oh no. They're all blue. Let's make this bigger. Why did all the H2s go blue? Oh, chat's already there. Well done. Oh, I thought I was going to get you all, and then I turn and it's just a wall in chat being like direct child. Well done. Oh, I'm so impressed. That's so cool. Right? The problem here is that these H2s, right? These H2s are also inside of a section. So if we do section space H2, it'll grab unicorn, Hufflepuff, as well as world zebra. We need that direct parent-child selector. So remember that we said earlier in chat, the direct parent-child was the right caret. Here we go. So now we have the right caret that's separating the H2 in the section. So that'll be a direct parent-child relationship. It's all saved. Let's go back. Let's refresh. And there we go. Only world and zebra. Oh, man. Whew. I'm so proud of everyone in chat right now. I was totally thought I was going to get you all. Well done. All right. Make only zebra purple. What can I do to target only zebra? What can I do to only target zebra? I can't just do H2 plus H2, because if I do H2 plus H2, it'll grab Hufflepuff as well. Yeah, we got to kind of use the thing we just used, but then do a sibling selector at the end. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do section right caret h2 plus h2, right? What that is saying is find me a sibling h2 that's directly inside of a section, right? And let's make it purple. Let's save it. Let's go back. Let's refresh. And there we go. Zebra is now a lovely shade of purple. And let's kind of digest this for a second. Let's go back and look at the HTML so we can see how this really is working. Right? If we look at this H2 is the sibling of this H2. So that's H2 plus H2. And then they are both inside of this section, right? So when I do section right caret, that's looking at these two elements. And then when I do H2 plus H2, it's just grabbing zebra, right? So I'm able to do the full section right caret H2 plus H2 and just grab zebra and make it purple. This is some tricky stuff here, folks. I know it's tricky. So if you're following along, that's great. You're way ahead of the curve here, folks. All right. Please make only Hufflepuff gold. Actually, before we do that, Bugaboo asked a really great question. How would I grab just world? I wouldn't. I would use what we wrote above to make it a specific color, and then I would just override purple. Right? I would just grab them both. So that first circle is grabbing both of them. I'd color world what I want it to be, and then I override the zebra to be a different color. Yeah, they're like little logic puzzles. Yeah. This is programming, folks, right? This is actually markup, writing markup technically, but programming is just a series of instructions that we're writing. Cool. Please make only Hufflepuff gold. Let's go ahead and take a look at Hufflepuff. How can I make just Hufflepuff gold? What's the secret here, folks? Oh, look at everybody. Yeah, we figured it out. Yeah. The containing element here is an article. So we can start with article, and then we can do H2 plus H2. All right, that would work. That would give us just Hufflepuff and not unicorn. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do article. And then let's do a right caret. We don't need it, but if we don't need it, let's not use it. H2 plus H2. Curly braces open, and then let's make it gold. Color gold. Well done. All right, let's save this. Let's make sure it works. Boom. Hufflepuff is gold. Well done. We're all ready to apply to Google. Nice. Well done, everybody. All right. Please keep Hufflepuff gold and make only unicorn gray. How can I keep Hufflepuff gold and make the unicorn gray? This is a hard one because it includes you gotta remember some stuff about specificity. This last one's a trick. Oh, iPone used a pseudo selector, which is an interesting way of doing it. Ah, yeah, I think people got it. So we're going to do article right caret H2, right? So if we do article right caret H2, that's going to make every H2 inside of an article gray. That's a direct child of an article. So let's do color gray. The thing here, though, is it's going to try and turn both of the H2s inside of article. Let's look at them real quick so they're fresh in our head. It's going to try and turn both of these gray, right? They're both inside of article. The problem, however, if we actually go and now look back in the browser, is that unicorn turned gray. Hufflepuff did not. Why did Hufflepuff not turn gray? We'll worry about duck in a second, but why did Hufflepuff not turn gray? Ooh, yeah. Specificity, folks, right? If we look, line 11, put it in chat. How many points of specificity does line 11 have? How many points of specificity in line 11? K-Doge did the math quick. How many points of specificity does line 11 have? And don't worry, we're going to recover specificity in a few seconds. It's 3, right? They're all elements, right? H2, and article are all elements, so it's 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, line 15 has 2 points of specificity. So this color of gray can't override Hufflepuff because it's a 2 going up against a 3. Right? A 2 going up against a 3. So it can't get rid of the gold on Hufflepuff, but it can apply the gray to unicorn. Now, what about duck? What about duck? Duck is still gray. Like if we look, duck is going to still be gray, right? It is still picking up the gray because it's an article. How can I make it so that duck is not gray? This was the really hard part here. I didn't ask you to do it, but it's really hard. We could do section. All right, let's try doing section. Let's save it. Womp womp womp. What happened there? Why did Hufflepuff lose its color? Duck's not gray anymore, but Hufflepuff is no longer gold. Aha. Who is that? 88. Got it right. It has the same level of specificity. It's 3 versus 3. So now we got to do some shuffling. All right. Now we got to use the cascade to our benefit. All right. Since we added section on line 13, it now had the same level of specificity as what we have on line 16. So we had to flip it so that it came further down the cascade and can override Hufflepuff to be gold. Oh, we're allowed to move things around? Bamboozled, yes. Sylphe, that's exactly what I did. Boom, well done, well done. Fair. Yeah. Shaw had it first. They were like, what if you cascade? iPone was using pseudo selectors. We'll cover pseudo selectors next week. FD says I'm going to rewatch this. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I'm totally on board. That was a weird, tricky one. Definitely run this one back once it's on YouTube, or as soon as the streams are over. The VODs are automatic, so if you just go to my channel on Twitch, the VODs are always there immediately. I do export them all to YouTube so that we don't lose them after a certain period of time. Cool. Well done, everybody. I know this one was tricky, but well done. Well done. Let's move on. All right, so last class we also introduced some concepts of IDs and classes. I want to review IDs and classes, do one more lab where you work on IDs and classes and particular specificity, and then we're going to introduce the new stuff, do one last lab, and then we'll call it for the night. You know this class is interesting when your mom has Die Hard on in the background and you're not even looking. Hey, I appreciate it. That's a good comment right there. Yeah, the spam filtering is the filtering on the chat is a little intense. I'm going to see if I can dial it back a little bit. All right, so let's get a little bit more specific. IDs can only be used once, right? So if you give something the ID of zebra, you cannot use zebra anywhere else, right? Once you use zebra once, it cannot be used anywhere else. Each element can also have only one ID. So once it has its one ID, it cannot have another, and that ID name cannot be reused. That's your unique identifier. That's the thing that targets that specific element and only that element, right? Classes are a little bit different. You can have as many classes as you need, right? As many classes as you need, and each element can have multiple classes, right? There are some people that were upset last night about the raid because he called us spam. We're going to raid somebody better at the end of this stream. He also called us second best. We're first best. Cookie Code says, shout out to Naya for helping. Shout out to Naya. We appreciate you, Naya. Thank you for coming by and helping folks learn the code. All right, if we're talking about classes, multiple elements can have multiple classes. I have multiple. If I'm thinking about myself as an HTML element, I have multiple classes right now. I have a class of glasses. I have class of white polka dotted shirt, and I have class of phenomenal hair. Right? So I have multiple classes that describe me, and it's the same thing for HTML elements. Those elements can have multiple classes that are going to do different things, maybe to style that content, right? You could have a class that makes something red, a class that makes something underline, and you could add both the red and underline classes to that element, and it would work. Okay. Oh, don't forget the class of majestic beard. I'll take that too. The unfortunate truth is, since the pandemic hit, I haven't been able to go to my barber, so my beard is definitely getting a little wild. I called it the George Washington for a while because my sides were tapered, but since I wasn't able to go to the barber, the taper started just turning into like puffs of hair on the side of my head. So I'm grateful now that my hair is long enough to cover the George Washington tufts, but it's real out here, folks. All right. So remember, IDs can only be used once. An element can only have one ID. Classes can be used many times. And each element can have, theoretically, an infinite number of classes. There's probably some hard limit, but we don't know what that is. Maybe we can test it. All right. The last thing for a review, right? The last thing for a review is specificity. So let's go over specificity. Let's see if we can figure out the specificity of these elements. XX Brian 36 said, hey Leon, Elmer said what's good. Tell him I said what's up. Cool. So here's specificity. We have 4 different categories of specificity. It's going to get harder and harder for me to say. The more times I say it, the harder it gets to say. Remember, specificity, you get 1 point for a tag or element. You get 10 points for each class. You get 100 points for each ID. And you get 1,000 points for other. Okay? All right. Why did I put a strike through my zeros? Why did I do that? Why did I put like that line through my zeros? Century Robot Unicorn Attack is the best video game for mobile ever made. That's probably my favorite game for mobile. I definitely looked. McCarthy got me. I was like, did I spell it wrong? God damn it. Yeah, so we know that it's a number and not a zero, right? So something to be mindful of, especially when you're starting to get into programming, is be mindful that like you want to distinguish between like zeros and numbers. So most commonly you're going to do zeros, zeros with a line through. And some other ones you might see are like 7s will have like that line there. So, you know, it's a 7, not a 1 or some other type of character. Cool. How many points of specificity, please? How many points of specificity does this selector have? Put it in chat, please. Put in chat. How many points of specificity? Oh, we're savage out here. 21, 21, 21. Sir Savage the 21st. Cool. Well done, folks. Yeah, it's 21 points of specificity. We get 10 points for unicorn, 10 points for robot, and 1 point for paragraph. So 21 points specificity. Alrighty. In chat, how many points of specificity does this selector have here? Shout out to our sponsors this evening, Domino's Pizza. Redbird, I will definitely go over this again. Give me 1 second. Let's see what folks say. 110. Yeah, it's 110 points of specificity. Right? So, remember, if we look, this paragraph has the class of Domino's Pizza, and it has, and it's inside the ID of Diet Coke. Right? Remember, we see a space here. A space there is a parent-child relationship, please. All right? It is a parent-child relationship. So when you see that space, you're saying, all right, find me Domino's Pizza that's inside of something that has the idea of Diet Coke. All right? So we are here inside this section that has the idea of Diet Coke, and there is something inside that has the class of Domino's Pizza. Here's one of my favorite interview questions for folks that are interviewing for a front-end development question. All right? So, Sentry said, okay, my brain officially dead. We're going to get there. We're going to get there, folks. Don't worry. All right. Here's my favorite interview question. One of my favorite interview questions for folks that are interviewing for front-end developer positions. What's the difference between and so I apologize, but that says in the top right corner, class 1 space class 2, and then the one below it says dot class 1 dot class 2 no space. What's the difference between having the space and not having the space in those two examples? Don't blame me, blame the nuns. That's a long-running joke we have here on the stream. If you don't get it, you got to watch the old episodes. You got to watch the old streams. Blame the nuns, not me. Space versus no space. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're getting it. Chat's got it. So when we have this space, what we mean is a parent-child relationship. So in this case, class 2 would be inside of class 1. When there's no space, that means something that has both classes. So if I did dot robot dot unicorn, that's not a parent-child relationship. Well, you can't see it. There we go. You can't see it. There's no space. Since there's no space, right? Since there's no space, it means find something that has both of those classes, right? So here, this paragraph has both of those classes. It has both robot and unicorn, right? Has both robot and unicorn. So when I want to select it, I don't put a space. Why is the class not Bob Domino's Pizza? So this is two different classes. Maybe Bob styles it one way and Domino's Pizza does something else, right? Maybe Bob makes it green and Domino's Pizza makes it in 30 minutes or less, right? Bob makes it green and Domino's Pizza makes it in 30 minutes or less. Shout out to our sponsor, Domino's Pizza. Domino's Pizza, reach out, email me. leon@leonnoel.com. Cool. So, space, parent, child, something inside of something. No space has both. And remember, we're going to give all these different classes because the classes can style the content in different ways. Just making people hungry. I'm hungry too. I haven't eaten yet. I'm getting hungry. We're going to make it through though. Yeah, no class name. That's a really great question. Don asked in chat, so no single class name can have a space in it. That is correct. As soon as you put a space inside of the class name, it's going to be read as two unique classes. You're also going to notice something interesting I'm doing here. All my IDs and classes are what we call camel case, meaning that the first word is lowercase and then every other word is capitalized. So if we look at Domino's Pizza, Domino's is lowercase, pizza is capitalized. Same thing with Diet Coke. Diet is lowercase, Coke is capitalized. And any other word would also be capitalized after. And the reason we do this is just so that we have a convention that we all agree upon. Now, a team that you join might do it differently. They might use underscores. They might use hyphens. The idea here is that one's not really more right or wrong. It's just that you pick one and you stick to it. So I recommend you use camel case. But if you choose something else, just stick to it. Don't mix and match them. You want to be able to hand a project off to another developer and say, hey, I use camel case everywhere. Yeah. Cool. Last one. How many points of specificity does this declaration have? In total. Let me say that, in total. How many points of specificity are we looking at here? Ooh. How many points of specificity are we looking at, folks? How many points? Yeah, we got it. It's 1,010. 1,010 points of specificity. We have 1,000 from the bang important. That's falling in the important category. And we have 10 from Bob, the class. So 1,010 points of specificity. Now, bang important gives us that 1,000 points of specificity. This is going to pretty much override anything in your CSS, right? If we're talking about the cascade, this breaks it. Nothing's going to, like, it's going to be, you're going to have 10 IDs, 100 classes, right? So if you put this into your CSS, it's just going to break it, right? Like, there's no way to override that style. So there's only one time that I ever use bang important. When do you think that one time I use bang important might be? There's only one time I use bang important. When do you think that might be? Vince says, yo, that looks important. Womp womp. When do you think I might use bang important? Put your guesses in chat. I don't care what your guess is. You could say electric toaster, and I'll be like, great. To troll, nice. Quick edits, that's actually a pretty good idea. To test something, yeah. I do use it. I do use it to test sometimes when I'm just trying to like figure out what it would look like. Giant hamster. Waffles. Electric toaster. Passwords never. Complicated code. Here's the only time I ever use bang important. The client project is due in an hour and I don't know how to fix that one thing. I throw a bang important on it. That's it. That's the only time I use it. Client project's doing an hour. I'm still not done. It's all getting important so I can demo it to them. And then later on, I'll clean it up. Okay. That's the only time I use bang important. Now, here's the other thing. If you write inline style, like if you go into your HTML and you write CSS in line with the HTML, that adds 1,000 points of specificity. That's why it's such a rule to not violate separation of concerns, because if you do that inline CSS with the HTML, you're adding 1,000 points of specificity to those rules, and there's no way you're ever going to override them in your actual CSS file, right? So if there's no way to actually override them in your CSS file, then you can't really use them. And so that's why inline style is so important not to use. Fake it till you make it. Heck yeah, duct tape it up. Digital duct tape. I love it. Cross said the CSS police will come for you. Cool. All right. Thank you for playing the specificity game. We have some specificity practice for y'all. So inside the starter code from today, if we go ahead, I'm going to close this one to save my CPU. I have this last practice folder for you here called specificity practice. If you're just tuning in right now and you want to follow along, go ahead and do !Discord in chat, and that will take you to our Discord channel. Agree to the rules, and you will get access to the follow along channel where you can grab all these materials and all this starter code. All right, let's go ahead and drag this to Adam so I can open it up and y'all can see. All right, so here we go. I've changed some things up from the previous example. You're going to see there's a lot of IDs, there's a lot of classes now, and there are some things that I want you to do. I want you to make Rhino and Zebra blue. I want you to make only Hufflepuff gold. And then there are some questions here that are talking about specificity. So I'm going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and start working through this. I'll answer questions in chat while you work on this. Boom, 5 minutes. Go for it. Shoot for gold. All right. While folks are working on that, I'll answer questions in chat. Steph B asked, hey, when would you use relationships? You use relationships a lot to just target specific elements that are inside of your HTML. Now, what we're going to notice now is that we can add IDs and classes to stuff, but often we don't want to keep adding more classes and more IDs. So we might put an ID or class on a containing element and then use the nested selectors, the relationship selectors, to get to the actual item we care about. So instead of having to put a class on everything and overloading our HTML, we can put like classes on the containing elements and then use those relationships to get to the things that we want inside of those containing elements. Hopefully that answers your question, Steph. Follow up if it didn't, though. So instead of putting an M, should we put it, make a span and put a paragraph and style the span? No, M's have a really important semantic meaning. When you need to provide emphasis to text, it has nothing to do with styling. When it comes time to provide emphasis to things, that's when you use an M. If you're having trouble kind of figuring out when to use M's and things like that, go ahead and look at the MDN. Just do MDN, and you will get kind of like the explanation when you should use it. Young and Vox said, I don't think your 3960 cares if you leave it open. I'm still on my laptop. It's been a rough road getting everything set up and working well. And then I realized that Streamlabs doesn't copy all my settings over, which took me a long time to set up from Mac to Windows. And so I have to redo everything, like all the camera setups and everything like that, all the stingers. So I just haven't had enough time to copy everything over. But this weekend, I'm going to make it happen. You have two Atom tabs that won't stop opening, Atom shell and Atom tab. Sometimes you have to restart Atom. Sometimes it's just good to restart your text editor every once in a while. All right, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, folks. Keep pushing. Push hard, get this done. If you have questions, put them in chat. We need an HTML police sticker. Yeah, I agree. We need an HTML police sticker. I think with affiliate, I get an emote. Like I get one. And so I have affiliate to unlock, and so we got to figure out like what that one emoji is going to be. Miriam, you're gonna have to show me. Maybe after class, we can pop on Discord and you can share your screen and we can take a look at it. If there is a friend mentor in Discord, maybe they can help you before stream's over. Boris, that's a really great question. When we select duck or rhino with the highest value, does it count if we select them with bang important? You could tack that on at the end to add even more specificity. I think that's really clever. I didn't think about that, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, tacking bang important would just add an extra 1,000 to it. No inline styles. Don't do inline style. I see you. Yeah, Miriam, don't worry. After class, let's pop on Discord and you can share your screen, or we'll figure it out. Wayfrit99 said he can help in voice channel 1. So go ahead and jump into voice channel 1. He can help. They can help. Whew. 45 seconds, folks. If you finish, go ahead and put finish in the channel. Go ahead and put it in Twitch chat if you finished. I wonder if folks are able to finish. Boom, there we go. Finish squad rolling in. K-Joe said, done, I guess. We shall see. We shall see, K. Mohammed coming in with the finish. Orasi coming in with the finish. Xena finish. Cross finish. Bori's basically finished. Ghost, you just started today. Don't worry. We'll get you caught up. If you stop by office hours, I can help you even more. If you're on Discord, ping me. We can always jump in and help there too. Ooh, look at all these folks coming in finished right at the finish mark here. Well done, everybody. All right. Let's go over this together. Well done, everyone. See, a lot of folks were able to finish in the time slot. Cool stuff, cool stuff. We'll go over this together, and then we'll take another 3-minute break so people can stretch, get some water, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and go over this together. Please make only rhino and zebra blue. Let's go ahead and take a look at rhino and zebra. Cool. So rhino and zebra actually share a few things. They share the class Africa, and they share the class 4 legs. So we could use either of those classes to target rhino and zebra. Nothing else has those two classes or those IDs. So we could do it a couple ways here. Let's try a couple different ways. Let's do 4 legs. So we'll do 4 legs using camel case, and we'll do color blue. All right. So we'll do color blue. All right. And that should target rhino and zebra and make them only blue. Boom. Rhino and zebra are blue. Okay. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And what are some other ways we could have made them blue, though? What did you all do to make rhino and zebra blue? Put it in chat for me. What did you do to make rhino and zebra blue? What are some other ways that we could have accomplished this? Maybe some ways that are a little bit more specific? Some folks were using multiple classes. Oh, Unsure Banana went back to the nested selectors. I like it. Tuccini did 2 classes. So they did dot Africa, dot 4 legs. That was cool. That works, right? Remember, no space means it has both of those classes. That's 20 points of specificity there. There's one other one I haven't seen people do, and that's we could have used both of their IDs. Let me show you something cool. They both had the ID. They had an ID of rhino and an ID of zebra. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, Octothorpe, rhino, Octothorpe, what was zebra? There we go. So the cool thing is here is when you use the comma, it selects both of them. So it's kind of like 2 rules in one. I have multiple selectors, and I can style both of those things at the same time by putting a comma between the selectors. If I do a space, that's something completely different. If I do a space, that's saying find zebra inside of rhino. That doesn't exist. There's no zebra inside the rhino. But when I put the comma, it's saying go ahead and find rhino, then go ahead and find zebra and make them both blue. So that comma is really powerful. It's how we can select multiple things with the same rule. Pretty cool. Yeah, this selector would have 100 points. The zebra would have 100 points, and the rhino would have 100 points. They don't combine to be like 200. Yeah. Because remember, we're still targeting separate things. ID is 100, yeah. Cool. Make only Hufflepuff gold. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm actually going to put this back to what it was. I like the original. There we go. Let's go ahead and make only Hufflepuff gold. So Hufflepuff has the ID of best house. Very true. Hufflepuff best house. There we go. Hufflepuff best house. But it also has the class of Harry Potter. We also had the Triwizard Champ, don't forget. Badger, and that's Hufflepuff. So, it's so rude. We have idea best house and 3 different classes to choose from. If I wanted to make only Hufflepuff gold, let's go ahead and use Octothorpe best house, and we'll do color gold. There we go. Beautiful. I just love how many people I forced into having to use the best house ID, even if they're a Gryffindor. That's some Ravenclaw thinking coming from a Hufflepuff, okay? iPhone, your dad said, easiest way, baby. Lovely. Cool. All right. The last 2. Please select duck with the highest level of specificity possible. Okay. A little bit of Slytherin coming out with my Ravenclaw plays here. What can I say? Put in the chat how you selected duck with the highest level of specificity possible. I want to see what y'all did. There's some really long ones here. Our ducks dinosaurs likes to quack, fight 1 or 100. Ooh, and they threw in the bang important. All right, let me take a look. Let me take a look at duck. So here's duck. Duck is an H2 inside of an article that's inside the body. So I'm going to do this. Let's see if this works. Whew. Body. Ardux dinosaurs, but remember that Ardux dinosaurs is inside of body, so it should be a space. It's an H2 with likes to quack and fight 10 or 100. So let's copy that. So we'll do H2, and then we'll type in likes to quack. That's the class it has. It also has the class fighter 100, and then let's make this, what color should we do? Let's just make it a brown. Cool. Let's see if it worked. Woo, duck is brown. And there we go. So I have body, ducks are dinosaurs. But wait, what was ducks? What are ducks or dinosaurs? That was an article. So we can also attach article there too. All right, because it's saying find an article that also has that class, find an H2 that also has those classes. Remember, if there's no space, it has both. If there's a space, it's a parent-child, something inside of something relationship. Cool. So body, maybe we can throw HTML on here too. Technically, it's inside the HTML element. So HTML body, article ducks, our ducks dinosaurs, H2 likes to quack fighter 100. Cool, that looks good. It's still brown. And then the cheeky folks in chat did bang important. So now, in chat, how many points of specificity is this right here? This rule, how many points of specificity does this rule have? How many points does this all have? K Coughs came in quick with an answer. Over 9,000. Does anybody have like the Saiyan emote? We have a saying emote in Discord. I wish all the Discord emotes just came over to Twitch with us. I'm seeing a lot of 1,034. Let's count them all up together. All right, so we have 1,000 for the important, but let's shelve that for a second. 10, 20, 21, 31, 32, 33, 34. So 34 here, and then important. So 1,034 points of specificity. Well done, well done. 1,034 points of specificity. Did anybody else figure out a way to be more specific? I don't know if I saw a way to be more specific. Let's double check. Yeah, I don't see any IDs or anything that make it more specific. Ooh, we could maybe do some sibling selectors in here. If we want it to get really wild, we can probably throw a sibling in here. And the sibling would maybe make it a little bit more specific. I'll leave that for you to figure out. All right. I feel like a lot of folks might have figured out how to do this now that they saw us do the duck. So I'm not going to do the rhino. I want you all to attempt the rhino on your own. And so go and attempt the rhino for homework, and then let's review it at the beginning of class on Tuesday. So if you feel like you got a little bit more information to do rhino now, go ahead and do rhino on your own. This one was difficult. It's weird. It really forces you to kind of see if you know how to use all the specificity rules in your favor. So this part was hard. Definitely rewatch it in the VOD, and then come ready for office hours to ask your questions. I know some of these things are really difficult. Some of these things, if this is your first time ever doing HTML or CSS, this is going to be wild sauce. It's okay to feel that way. Everyone feels that way when they first start. So try and absorb it, soak it in, rewatch it, and then let's come ready with questions on Saturday. Cool. All right, folks, let's push. My head hurts. Yeah, it's a lot to learn. We've been going for 2 hours. Kudos to all y'all. Like, a lot of you are after a long day, strapping in at 6:30. Some of you are in Europe, so it's even later. Some of you are in other parts of the world where it's just a really bad time. Kudos to you to sticking around, investing in yourself, learning some new stuff. I appreciate you being here. Cool. Let's go back to the slides. All right, we're going to go into the box model. What I want to do, though, is I want to take a break. Let's take a 3-minute break, stretch, grab some water, and then let's come back. We'll talk about the box model. We'll talk a little bit about layout, and then we'll end it in a little bit. So I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. Cool. Go ahead, stretch, grab some water. We'll be back in 3 minutes. If you have questions, I'll hang around and answer questions. Oh, I appreciate all the kind words. Ooh. Omar's happy. Awesome. A frog just got into my place and my wife is freaking out. That's totally valid. Wow. Go catch that frog. All right. I did something wrong with the duck comment. Not changing colors. Please help. Post your selector in the Discord channel. We'll help you make it work. Yeah, Youngin, the space between Bob and Domino's Pizza definitely meant they were separate classes. Yep. Xenos theory. So back to the curly hair routine. Or we should just do a whole separate stream. Alpine asked me, what is my favorite book? That's a hard question. I mean, I'll be really basic and say I love Harry Potter. So Goblet of Fire is definitely my favorite Harry Potter book. The book I read a lot is The Souls of Black Folk. That's one of my favorite books to reread. I reread that every couple of months. My favorite programming book is Eloquent JavaScript. I'll think through it. I'm reading through Lord of the Rings right now again, the 50th anniversary edition. I can see it just out of my grasp. It's definitely a contender for sure. Of Black Folk, Alpine. Who wants to split a pizza? Lord of the Rings is a book about taking long walks. I've never heard that before. That's funny. Yeah. Cool. 30 minutes, folks. 30 seconds, folks. Come on back. Leon, what is your favorite New Haven restaurant? Well, the restaurant I had the most memories in was A1 Pizza, but I believe that was closed a while back. There was this pho restaurant on, I think it was, what street was that? I think it was Temple Street that was really good, but they closed down too. All right, folks, come back. Grab your water, come back and join us. Rossi asked, how do you move a tab in Atom? You should be able to just drag the tab over to a new window and it should move. If you only have two, it might be a little bit difficult, but if you have multiple, you should be able to drag them around. Did you ever have the mashed potato bacon pizza at Bar? So these are New Haven restaurants. When I was at Yale, I lived in New Haven for 4 years. No, I haven't eaten red meat or pork since I was 9. Yeah. I haven't eaten red meat or pork since I was 9. I've been a vegan for like 3 years now. Yeah. Cool. Welcome back. Wow, there are a lot of people from Connecticut in this chat. That's wild. Welcome back, everyone. Glad you got some water. Maybe you got a little bit of stretch. We got 2 more important topics tonight, the box model and layout. And then we'll call it for a night. And then we'll talk about the lab and we'll talk about the homework. Cool. So, welcome back. If you're new and you haven't followed yet, go ahead and give us a follow. That way we show up higher in the rankings and more people can come learn some HTML and CSS with us. And let's talk about the box model. So the box model is an important concept when it comes to CSS because it's going to enable us to figure out how we can start putting stuff next to other stuff. That's really what it really comes down to, right? Putting stuff next to other stuff. Every single element in web development is a box. When it comes to HTML and CSS, everything is a box. Whether it's a piece of text, whether it's a section, an article, they're all boxes. And the boxes all have a few things in common. They're going to have a height and width, either set by you, the developer, or that comes based on the browsers giving it of the height and width. It can have padding, it can have a border, and it can have margin, which isn't 100% part of the box model, but really pushes the box model around. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a box so we can actually see how the browser will render a box when it comes to the box model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up. Oh no, I dropped my pen. We're going to open up a whiteboard and I'm going to draw out the box model for you to take a look at and hopefully make it a little bit more visual to be able to see. All right, so let me go ahead and open up a whiteboard here. I'm going to draw a simple box to start. And so here is my box. Let's say that this box is just a section, right? And that section has a height of 100 pixels. And let me erase this real quick. No, erase. Sorry. Has a height of 100 pixels and a width of 100 pixels. Don't blame me, blame the nuns. All right. Nice box, bro. It's a good box. I'm proud of it. So this is my box. if this was a height of 100 pixels and a width of 100 pixels, the math's really easy, right? The width is 100 pixels, the height is 100 pixels. All right. Now we can have something called padding. And so padding, what padding does is it extends the distance between the element and its border. So if we're going to talk about that, we need to add a border first. Let me go ahead and add a border. I'm going to choose a color here. I'm going to make my border orangey red. And so here's my border I'm going to draw around it. I'm trying to make it a little bit thicker so we can see it. Actually, let me undo that. Let me undo. I can actually change the thickness, I think. Here we go. All right. There we go. Made it a little bit thicker. Let's try again. There we go. There's my border. All right. Imagine that's hugging the box. Actually, screw it. Let's do this for real, folks. I want a nice, thick border. Let's make this a thick boy. There we go. Cool. Hey. There we go. Beautiful. That's my border. Let me go ahead and say that that border is 20 pixels. Border, 20 pixels, solid red. Cool. How wide is this element right now? If it has a 20 pixel border going around the entire edge, how thick is this element? Oh, we got a little bit of a battle going on in chat here. Thick enough, said Kennedy. It's going to be 140, right? Because don't forget, we have 20 pixels for the border here, 100 for the actual width of the element, and then another 20 on the right. So this box right now, this section is 140 pixels wide. Okay? Now, there's one other thing that's really a part of the box model, and that's called padding. Padding can increase the distance between the element and its border. Okay? Excuse me. It can increase the distance between the element and its border. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to add some padding. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color. I'm going to change the color to gold. And I'm going to erase the border on this side just so that we can extend it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to extend the padding. So we're going to do a little bit of padding. We're going to do padding. Let's do padding. A little bit thicker. So we'll do padding. And the padding will be 5 pixels. Let's do 25 pixels. 25 pixels of padding. Cool. And so here's my 25 pixels of padding. All right. If you have problems with my art skills, don't blame me. Blame the nuns. All right. There we go. That's my padding. And then what's going to happen is that border is going to now wrap around the padding. So let's go ahead and change the color. Let's change the thickness. Okay. And then let's go ahead and draw out the border that's now wrapping around the padding. All right. So now I have an element that has 25 pixels of padding, and right now it's only on the right hand side. But if I was to do it on both sides, like it is right now, because this is 25 pixels, I'm going to get rid of it on the left too. And I'm going to have 25. But let's change this. Let's just say 25 pixels on the right and left, because I don't have enough room on top. I'm going to change my color here. I'm going to add 25. Sorry, I'm getting used to the whiteboard here, folks. There we go. So 25 pixels of padding on the left. Let me switch back to the color. My border wraps around. All right. So right now, I have 25 pixels of padding on the left, 25 pixels of padding on the right, the original element and its border. How wide is this element? All right, let's count it up. All right, so we still have 20 pixels of border on both sides. All right, 20 pixels of border on both sides. We have 25 pixels of padding. And we have 100 for the original width of the element. So that is 20 plus 20 is 40. 25 plus 25 is 50. So 40 plus 50 is 90. 90 plus 100 is 190, or as Don likes to say, dummy thick. All right, it is a really wide box. Now, the interesting thing here is now that we have this box that has all this border and padding, what if I wanted to put it inside of a section? What if I wanted to put it inside of a section that was 300 pixels wide? What if I wanted to put this section inside of a box that was 300 pixels wide? How many of these sections could fit inside that 300 pixel wide section? Kind of looks like a Band-Aid. It does. How many of these sections could fit inside of a 300 pixel box? One. That's it. We're at 190 pixels. If I do 190 plus 190, I'm over 300. That second box would break out of the container and drop down to the next line. Right? So this is why the box model matters, right? If things can have a height and a width, a padding and a border, you have to keep track of that with some of the older systems when it comes to layout. Okay? So keep that in mind. This is what the box model provides. The ability, right? The ability to have not only width and height, but padding and border. The important thing here to remember is that you give the element a height and a width, and then padding increases the distance between the element and its border. That's all it does. Okay? Cool. Let's do it one more time. I just want to do it one more time now that I have a better hand of yeah, let's reload it. All right. So let's start off again with a simple box. This box will be 100 by 150. It's going to have some padding on the left. And it's going to have a red border. Okay? The border is 2 pixels thick. The padding is 20 pixels, and the original width is 150. What is the entire width of this box? 2 pixel border, 20 pixel padding on the left, 150 pixels original. Seeing some numbers in the chat. Nice. 174, 174, 174. Cool. So we have, let's draw it out. 2 pixels on the left, 2 pixels on the right. Then we have 20 here for the padding and 150 for the width of the element. So 20 plus 150 is 170, plus 2 and 2 is 74. 174. Cool. How are we feeling about the box model? You can have height and width of an element, you can have padding, and you can have border. Remember, padding can go on all sides. Border can go on just certain sides as well. All right. Let's close this out. And let's talk a little bit about layout. Okay. I'm about to get a migraine. That's how I feel. All right. We're going to have one more topic that we're going to cover. That's layout. It's going to be a rough one. I'm telling you, the thing that comes next is rough. It's hard for people that have learned a little bit of CSS and HTML in the past before. It's really hard for folks that are just starting out. So I'm just letting you know the next thing we cover is the last thing we cover, and it's the roughest thing we've covered. Just trying to get you warmed up for it. Okay. So, time for some layouts. It's from The Simpsons. Oh, when the kids see these layouts and fonts. Let's talk about floats. All right. So cry now or after. Either's really good. Let's talk about floats. There are multiple ways of doing layout. If we go further in the past, there are systems that we might not always choose to use now. The thing that you might have heard that's new for layout is something called Flexbox and CSS Grid. I am totally of the opinion that Flexbox and Grid are the better way to lay things out. What I've noticed, though, across hundreds of students is that when I introduce floats first, they appreciate Flex and Grid a lot more, and they also have a better understanding of how things come together as like building blocks. So tonight we're going to start with floats. Next week we'll move into Grid and Flex. Okay. So how dare I? But I've just seen time and time again, starting with floats helps ease beginners into it. You can think about it in things you already understand, which are just regular whiffs. And then we can move on to more advanced ways of doing layout, or the current like zeitgeist, what people are actually using for layout. Cool? Sound good? I hate both, huh? Cool. Someone said that float is kind of outdated. Yes, float is kind of outdated. Are you going to see a metric crap ton of code that still uses floats? Yes. If you were starting a new project today, would you use floats? Maybe not. Probably not. All right. So let's talk about how floats work. The way floats work are when you float an element, it's going to fight as hard as it can get to go up and to the direction that you floated it. Okay? So here we have a header. All right, we have a header, and then we have two pieces of content, a sidebar and some main content. When I float that sidebar, what it's going to do is try to go up as far as it can go and to the left as much as it can go. It's trying as hard as it can get into that corner. The cool thing about doing float is that if we float all the elements, they're all going to fight to get into that corner. Okay? So let's say I had 3 sections that all were height and width of 100 pixels, right? So let's open up the whiteboard again. Let's say I had 3 sections that all had a height and width of 100 pixels. 1, 2, 3. All right. They were all stacking. Sections are going to stack by default. Let's say this is the entire page. Okay. This is the entire page. And those are 3 sections that are all 100 by 100. If I float all of these sections to the left, what they're going to do is fight to get in that corner. They're going to try and go up to the left as much as you can go and over to the left as much as they can go. So this one that's at the top is already golden. It's already in that corner. It's already gone up and to the left as much as it can go, so it will stay there. This second element is going to go all the way up and then all the way to the left and get stacked next to that first element. So this one is no longer here. All right. It's no longer here. It's now stacked against that first element. Okay. So now we have two elements sitting next to each other. And that last element is going to do the same thing. It's going to fight as hard as it can to go all the way up. And it's going to fight as hard as it can go all the way to the left. Now we're going to have all three elements sitting next to each other. And this one that was on the bottom will no longer be here. All right. This one on the bottom is now floating next to the other two elements. And we have all three sitting nice and neat next to each other. Okay. So if I remove the blue, we now have those three boxes floating and sitting next to each other. Okay. So yeah, basically it swings and then it sticks because it's really trying as hard as it can to get into that top corner. I recommend floating all your elements the same way. You can float them all to the left. You can float them all to the right. If you float things to the right, be careful. The order will get out of order because the first one will go up and to the right. Then the second one will stack next to it. The third one will stack next to it. So for the exercises we're about to do, float everything to the left. All right? Float everything to the left. Now, disclaimer again. Right? Disclaimer again. This is an older way of doing layout. I just like to introduce it because I think it's a little bit easier for people to grasp, and then you will really appreciate Flexbox and Grid when we get to it. Okay? So, float everything up and to the left if you float it left, or everything up and to the right if you float it right. Okay? So, I know this is a really difficult concept. I know this is a really hard thing to understand. That's okay. You're going to work through it. It's going to make sense. So remember, if I wanted two things to sit next to each other, right? If I wanted two things to sit next to each other, I would float each to the left. They would go up to the left and sit next to each other. Now, the problem is you have to do the math to figure out if they can sit next to each other. Okay? People are starting to cry. Oh no. Yeah, I can do a float right on Saturday during office hours. And here's where you're going to put it to work, folks. We're going to do 15 minutes of pain. You're going to attempt to do your first layout using only floats. Okay? So before we put the 15-minute timer up here, let's try and break this down a little bit. If we had to pick an HTML element for this top element, what would we pick? What will we pick for that top element there? Yeah, a header, right? People are saying header in chat. Yeah, it'd be a header. What could we do for this bottom element? What could that element be? A footer, nice, nice. And then what could each of these three be? What could each of those be? Yeah, they could be our sections. So we have a header. We have a footer. We have section, section, section. Now, by default, these sections won't sit next to each other. By default, these sections will stack. How do I get those three sections to not stack on top of each other, but to sit next to each other? What do I have to do to get them to sit next to each other? We're going to have to float them. And how wide will they have to be? How wide will each one of those sections be? How wide would each of these sections have to be? Yeah, we could use a percentage. Child's Night came in first. Red Ninja got the fraction before. 33%. So we could say the sections should have a height maybe of 200 pixels and a width of 33.3333% repeating, because we can have 4 decimal places when it comes to CSS. So they're going to need to be at least 33% width. They're going to need to float it to the left. And then you're going to run into one big problem. And that's that the border counts. So how do we do this? Because if we make them 33.333%, that won't leave any room for border. That's part of the challenge. But this is going to be 15 minutes of pain. This is your first layout. You just learned about the box model. You just learned about float. It's a lot of really complicated topics to learn about right from the beginning. But we're going to put a 15-minute timer on the go. And I want you to give this a really honest 15 minutes. Push yourself, use Google, hit up the MDM, put your questions in chat. But for these next 15 minutes, push yourself as hard as you can go. Okay? I know your brains are cooking. We've been going for 2.5 hours. This is it. Leave it all out in the field. Right? We got 15 minutes left in the game. We're down by 5. Leave it all out there. I'm going to put a timer up there. Push hard. Use Google. Use the MDN. Ask questions. Let's put a timer up. All right, folks. 15 minutes of pain. Go, 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 go. Ask your questions if you have questions. My Texas Toast says, I got this, coach. My 2 nieces just walked into the room. Hello.
Hello.
Miriam, you're building this layout. So build this layout in HTML and CSS. You can do new HTML and CSS, right? So you can build it from scratch if you want. Or feel free to use either the 3 different folders that we had today. Just go ahead and delete the HTML and start there because you already know the HTML and CSS is already linked. Okay? So go ahead and start building this. You got 14 minutes. You want to say hello? No? They're too shy. You want to say hello?
Who is there?
There's over 100 people watching.
100?
Yeah.
Is this a YouTube video?
This is on Twitch.
What's Twitch?
It's like YouTube but live. They're all working on learning how to code.
So your students are on there?
Yeah, they are.
We were watching you earlier.
You were watching me earlier? Wow.
That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. Ghost, she found an example that already completes it 100%. Yeah. So here's the funny thing. I've been using this for a long time. I really like this 15 minutes of pain. And so there are definitely probably solutions out there. But push yourself. Try from scratch. Don't look at the solution. Thank you for the comments, everyone. I appreciate it. All right. Keep pushing. Dig deep. Google is your friend. Use the MDN. If you have questions, ask questions. You got this. I'm just going to kind of repeat what we're doing here. See some new folks popping on. Right now, we're using the basics of HTML and CSS that we've learned over the last 2 classes to build this layout. We have the header at the top, the footer at the bottom. We have 3 sections in between. And the way we're getting those sections to sit next to each other right now is by floating them all to the left. Okay. This is our first layout. We're going to learn Flexbox and Grid next week. But for now, we're using floats and we're digging into the pain. Alpine's going to try. Go ahead and try. Keep going. If you have questions, throw the questions in the chat. Like I said, everybody sent me some good royalty-free music. So next stream, when we get the labs, we'll have the music playing. So welcome, everybody. Come on through. Try it out. For some reason, my footer is to the right of the sections and not at the bottom. That's interesting. So there's a problem you're going to run into is if all your sections are floating, your footer is going to slide up underneath them. So think about like my top hand as being the section and my bottom hand being the footer. As I float my sections off the page, the footer slides. That's a problem you have to figure out. So give a Google a good old try to see if you can figure out that problem. Let me move the timer underneath of the other side here. That way the follows don't get in the way. Welcome everyone that followed recently. Glad to have you. If you're just joining, this is a free web development bootcamp. If you would like to follow along, exclamation point slides will bring up the slides in chat. If you do exclamation point Discord, you can join our Discord, grab all the materials, and join that way. Welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. Keep pushing, folks. Keep pushing. 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left. Dig deep. Good stuff, everyone. Keep digging. Keep digging. You got this. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them in. Go ahead and throw them in Twitch chat. Alrighty, folks. Yeah, I'll definitely get that music queued up so you're not just hearing me kind of ramble during the labs. But dig deep. A little over 9 minutes left. Using float left and 30%, they're all still stacked on one another. Make sure you applied it correctly. If you want to go ahead and throw your HTML and CSS into Discord, we can take a peek at it. Make sure you actually floated the sections themselves and not anything else. Make sure that you had the appropriate widths there. But yeah, if they're 30% and floating left, they should be sitting next to each other. Go ahead and check it out, make sure. Ooh, Cross found out ClearFix. That's a good hint for folks that are having some trouble. ClearFix could solve some issues here. It is the border. Yeah, the border is going to cause you issues here. There's going to be something called box sizing. That's going to be really important for you to figure out. That 1 pixel is making all the difference for sure. That 1 pixel is going to cause you trouble. Because remember, it's 1 pixel on every side. So if you're talking about 1 pixel on every side, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pixels on every. So 6 pixels in total on top of the 33.333%. We're probably going to be like another 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah, Ebony came in with a good hint. If nothing's showing, make sure you've linked your CSS, right? If you have all your HTML, you're writing all your CSS, but nothing's showing up, might need to link your CSS there. Ooh, let me bring the timer back up. Sorry, it popped off there. 7 minutes left, folks. 7 minutes. Dig deep. You got this. I believe in you. You can do it. Dig through the pain. Modern problems require a modern solution. Is there a set border that the sections could have? I just did a 1 pixel border on everything so I could see it. Ooh, Brev thinks they got it. You might be the first. If you finished it, put that you finished in the chat so we can see it. ahead and do it. Put it in chat. Yeah, finished. Well done, well done. Whoo! Straw hat finished. Well done. You know what? It's fun hanging out with you two, Alpine. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're learning some things and having fun building some HTML and CSS. Oh, Ebony finished. Well done, well done. Sophia got it too. And there's still 5 minutes left. Well done. Well done. All right. Woo, my Texas Toast finished. Young and Fox finished. Well done. I got it, but the spacing is off, says Kennedy. Yeah, spacing a little difficult. Folks that are just joining, I saw some new folks pop in. Folks that are joining, this is a free web development bootcamp that we run every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're interested in learning some HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript, go ahead and give us a follow. If you want the slides, it's !slides in the chat. And if you want to get the materials to follow along, it's !Discord. And then I'll get you into the Discord, agree to the rules, and then you'll get access to all the channels. And there's a follow along channel that has all the materials for today. Lee Cap, you're welcome. You're welcome. Kennedy asks, will you share the solution after? Yes. So we're going to code all the solutions on Saturday. So if you come to office hours, come ask any questions you have. Last office hours, we talked a lot about like freelancing and getting started as a web developer, different career paths. This Saturday, we'll spend some time going over some of the solutions together and then just answering any questions that you have. That's at 12 p.m. on Saturday. B.R. Carthy said, this message is sponsored by Domino's. Boris, 123, sorta got it. I'll take sorta got it. Tuccini figured it out. Well done, well done. My Texas Toast said they want to make a Chrome extension. Chrome extensions are really easy to make. I've made quite a few just to do really simple stuff. Google rolled out a bell in Gmail that I hated. I just hated this bell that was in Gmail. So I made a Chrome extension that all it did was remove the bell. That's one of my favorite things ever. Time zone is Eastern Standard Time. So we start 12 p.m. EST on Saturday. Come get your questions answered. Come dig into some code. Alyssa said that they have a little bit of empty space on the right-hand side. It's probably because you didn't make everything 33.3333% wide. You needed to go, because if you just do 33%, you might have just like a small fraction of a percent left. You get 4 decimal places. 3 minutes, folks. Woo! Dig deep. Way to go. 3 minutes. Three minutes, folks. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. You can do it. I believe in y'all. You can do it. Make it happen. Dig deep. All right. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We're almost there. All right. Getting close. I can't get the sections to be colored for some reason, not bordered. Make sure that you're applying your background color and not color. Color would be for fonts. Background would be for colors in the background. Now it's all off. Time to investigate. I love that. That's the energy. Mine are not colored, though I do have a border for each section. That's good. You could do it either way. So with the width at 33%, the layout looks fine-ish. But if they make it 33.333333%, repeating, of course, Leroy Jenkins, it moves down to the next line. Yeah, that's because you're running out of space. We're going to fix that in a second when we solve it together. My Texas Toast earned their Dominoes tonight. Yeah, so with the 33.3333% repeating, of course, plus border, it runs out of space and goes down to the next line. All right, we're getting close. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Dig deep. People are getting it close. All right. CSS is tough. When it's your first time doing CSS, it's always a little rough. Don't worry. We'll spend plenty of time working through it. All right, 15 minutes of pain is over, folks. Come on back to the stream. I know you were working heads down. What I would love to do is to go over this together. We're going to introduce the lab that will be for your homework. And then let's do a raid on a smaller channel and send them some good vibes. We got a lot of people here, so let's help out somebody else a little smaller that's doing some code. All right, so let's go over this together, and then I'll introduce the homework, and then we'll do a raid, and we'll call it tonight. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to open up. Let me just go ahead and open up. I'm going to make a copy of this basic CSS, and then I'm just going to open this copy in Atom. All right, so I'm just going to get rid of all of my HTML in here that's inside the body. And I think that's all I have to do. Let me get rid of the CSS too. So I'm just going to get rid of all the CSS. There we go. All right. So now I have a clean slate. Right? Clean slate. I have all my HTML, all my CSS. We're good to go. And so let's go ahead and start coding this out. We know that we have a header and a footer. Yep. Header and footer. Right? And then we have 3 sections. So let's go ahead and do our header. We know that we're not putting anything inside of it, so I just like them all in one line when I'm not putting anything inside of it. And then I'm going to have 3 sections. I'm going to go a little fast through this. I know people are getting a little tired. We've been working hard. My 3 sections. I'm going to copy this one and just do 2 more pastes. Cool. And then my footer. That's it. That's all my HTML, folks. All right. We had the header, we had the sections, and we had the footer. So if we look, header, 3 sections, footer. Cool. Any questions about the simple HTML? Any questions about the HTML while we're here? Pretty straightforward, right? No surprises there. All right. So we have our HTML. Now, here was a trick. Let's save the trick. Let's go ahead and do our header. Let's make it have a height of 100 pixels. It's already going to be 100% width by default, so we should be good there. And let's give it a border of 2 pixels. Let's just do 1 pixel. 1 pixel, solid black. Let's make sure that's showing up. Let's open this in the browser. And there we go. We have our lovely header showing up in the browser. Let's go ahead and do our sections and our footer as well. So let's go ahead and do our sections. We'll give them a height of 200 pixels, just to give them a little bit of differentiation. A width, we already know we're doing a width of 33%, 0.333%, repeating, of course. And then we're going to go ahead and give them a border of 1 pixel, solid black. Don't worry, I'm not going to flip them yet. I just want to see what it looks like. And then let's go ahead and do the footer too. Height, 100 pixels, border, 1 pixel, solid black. Let's see what we got on the board. Don't worry, I'm going fast. I'll come back to it. Let's see what we got on the board here. Boom. We have our header. There you go. We have our header. Oops, sorry. We have our header. We have our 3 sections. And we have our footer at the bottom. Okay. Now, the thing is that we want to make sure that we can get these 3 sections sitting next to each other. So in chat, how am I going to get those 3 sections sitting next to each other? What do I got to do? Chat, what do I got to do to get those 3 sections to sit next to each other? Ooh, yeah. It's float. Float left. Let's do a float left. Float left. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and float them left. Let's see what we got now. Going to refresh. Always don't forget to refresh. If you forget to refresh, you won't see the changes. And we see some tomfoolery is afoot here. We have some problems going on. This footer kind of slid up, right? This other section is not sitting up where it needs to sit. And so there are some problems we have to solve. Let's tackle them one at a time. This first problem of this section not sitting up to the right next to the other 2 sections is because it ran out of space. We're at 33.3333% times 3, which is pretty much close to 100% as you're going to get. But we forgot that we have border too, and border takes up width according to the box model. So there's something that people refer to as the box model hack. What it does is when you use the box model hack, width becomes inclusive of padding and border. So you don't have to do the math. It just includes the padding and border in it. And so what we can do is we can go to the top of our top of our CSS. Oop, this is the wrong one. Go to the top of our CSS, and we can do this. This is the hack that you had to find like through your research. Box sizing border box. Cool. When we have that box sizing border box, what it does is it now includes the border in the calculation for width. So you can go 33.33333% repeating and still have stuff sit next to each other when they're floated. Okay? So let's go back. Let's go back to the browser and make sure that everything looks good when we refresh. So remember to refresh. And it looks good. We got these 3 boxes, these 3 sections sitting next to each other. However, there's one other weird thing. What's the weird thing? Can people spot the weird thing that happened when we floated those 3 boxes next to each other? Can you spot the weird thing? What happened? What happened when we floated those 3 boxes next to each other, those 3 sections next to each other? Yeah, the footer slid up. So let me show you my super high def explanation of what happened there. This bottom hand is my footer. This top hand is my 3 sections. High def here, folks. When I floated those 3 sections, whoop, right? They literally floated off the page, and the footer went zoop and slid right behind them, right? High def here, folks. 3 sections floated off the page, footer went zoop, slid right underneath, right? And so what we have to do is we're going to put something called clear. We're going to do clear both, all right? Clear both on the footer. What clear both is going to do, right? What clear both is going to do is it's going to tell the footer to like look to the left, look to the right. If you see anything floating, come after it, right? That's one solution. The other solution is we could have also just floated the footer. If we just floated the footer, it would have floated in the same way that the sections did, and it would have been happy. But I wanted to see this other technique, which was called clearing, that should clear the footer. So if I go back, well, this isn't saved yet. Let me save it. Let me go back. Let me refresh. And there we go. It looks good. We've completed the 15 minutes of pain, right? We have the header at the top, the 3 sections floating next to each other, and the footer at the bottom. Okay. There's one other thing I want to bring up here while we're here. And that's magic. Miriam says magic. It is magic. When you're first learning this stuff and it starts to click, it feels like magical powers. This is why I love web development. It's so visual. The things that you're doing, you can see immediately. You can start pushing things around, right? And so that's what I did here. Magic. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to bring up is that this header and footer look an awful lot alike, right? We learned something earlier today where if we put a comma, we can select 2 different elements at the same time. So I'm just going to add the clear both here and then delete this entire footer. This is part of making your code dry. Do not repeat yourself. It's one of the major tenets of being a software engineer is to cut down on repeated code. So by doing that comma, I'm selecting both my header and my footer at the same time, and I'm saving 4 lines of code, right? So go ahead and do the box sizing border box. That's the hack to get things to be able to sit next to each other, inclusive of border. And then I'm able to use that comma to select 2 things at the same time with the same rule. I'm blowing people's mind in chat. Cool. So that's how I would lay out this website. It's a website. It's a very simple one. It's a very simple layout, but that's how I would do it. Okay. Questions in chat while we're here? Yes, I will post the solution in the follow along materials channel on Discord as soon as we're done. So as soon as we're done the raid, we'll go ahead and we'll go into Discord. I'll put all the stuff in Discord for you. And then on Saturday, we'll work through all the solutions of the homework that we were kind of do this past week. And if folks want to go over this stuff again, we'll go over this stuff again during office hours. So if you're a little behind, that's okay. This is hard. This is new. This is hard. If you're feeling a little frustrated, that's totally okay. This is where all folks kind of start off at, and it's okay to feel those things. Just don't stop. Ask questions. Get on Discord. Ask questions. Come to office hours. Ask questions. Happy to help you get unstuck. Cool. So this is a very simple way of doing layout. Remember I said this is kind of like the older way of doing layouts with floats. We're going to learn Flexbox and Grid next week. But I want to talk about the homework. So let's talk about the homework. We'll do a raid and we'll call it. All right. Let's get down to business to defeat or complete the 3 layouts, I should say. Let's complete the layouts. So your homework due next Thursday is to complete these 3 layouts. So you'll see 3 layouts. 1, 2, and 3. They are all in the materials. So if you want the individual images, they're in the materials from today, but they're also in the slides if you want them. And then I want you to read the Shay Howe article on responsive web design. So before Tuesday, please make sure you read that. So that way we move into responsive websites, making sites look good across all these different devices. And we start talking about Flex and Grid. It's not the first time you're hearing it. So Ghost, we do 2 classes a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then office hours on Saturdays. This is like my consciousness test. Like any robot in the future, when they see Let's Get Down to Business and doesn't hear the Mulan theme song going on in their head, like that song, is not a conscious robot yet. Cool. So that's it, folks. You've been with me for a solid 3 hours. You toughed it through at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day, depending on where you are. You were answering phenomenal questions in chat. You did well with the 15 minutes of pain. You have some homework to keep exploring these ideas. Come back on Saturday if you're feeling a little behind, a little stuck. We're going to go through all this stuff again. We're going to go deeper. I'm going to ask more of your questions. But that's it. I would love to do a raid to a smaller streamer that has some folks that are watching. We got 100+ people here. Let's go to somebody else's chat and say good vibes. Just put good vibes into the chat. That's all you got to do. Maybe good vibes, learn with Leon into the chat. That's what we're going to do. We're going to cut it off. If you have questions, hit me up on Discord. Let's find a person to raid real quick. All right. There we go. We have a raid that'll be starting soon. Go ahead and put some good vibes into that channel. Good vibes, learn with Leon. Go ahead and raid, folks. Good having you here.